So, A&B is the greatest archive anyone could ever ask for.
You know, of all the books I've read, of all the other online tutorials I've seen, this was the missing key.
Every video is like packed with this information that I would never be able to get anywhere else. So I would say this is the greatest resource for learning animation.
For me, A&B Animation Library is hands down the best animation learning resource that I've seen. I've tried all the tutorials, I've gotten all the books. I've never been able to really grow until I found A&B.
And it's incredible. I've only just begun it, but I definitely am getting more from that than I did from my 1.5 years of college.
I've noticed definitely that my animation has improved a lot, and it's more alive than ever. And what I also like about this animation training is that you also gain real confidence.
Real Animator Training Library is unequivocally the best resource for animation, 2D animation, traditional hand-drawn animation that I've seen.
So I wholeheartedly recommend the A&B Real Animator Training Library to anybody who wants actual knowledge and actual applicable concepts to create their own animation and to move forward in the field of animation and to set your work above those that are just kind of teaching themselves and not learning these tried and true classic concepts.
A&B is motivated by his students' successes and improvements. He's a great teacher, a great animator with over 20 years experience in the industry, so you can't really get much better than that. I strongly recommend him to anybody.
I'm thinking on how to put in words what I feel about it. I love that. It approached me from my dream of becoming an animator. Every cent I paid in there was worth it.
I like that the library is structured. I can go back and watch it anytime I want to. And he's just got so much knowledge. And I just highly recommend it to anyone who's out there looking to learn traditional 2D animation.
So thank you, MB, so much. And thank you so much for all you done for me.
So, are you gonna join the library?
So,
hello, and welcome once again to another edition of the Authentic Animators Answer to Everything. So I just got caught up there getting a comment from Zedpo about some problems with the intro's audio. So that's interesting. I'll have to look into that when this stream is over. So this is going to be another stream where I take your questions and answer whatever questions you have for me. I had started doing a series for the Pro Archive of the Training Library where we examine some storyboards, but I'm going away tomorrow. I'm going away for a couple of weeks. My daughter has turned 21, so we are going to go away and celebrate that, and have a nice little special occasion, family occasion for that. So there's going to be no A&B live streams for 2 weeks, around 2 weeks. So don't worry, I'm not disappearing anywhere, just getting in some important family time. So something like that. Right, so therefore, this stream is going to be all about how I can serve my audience, serve you guys to the best of my ability. So please do ask any questions that you have that I'll be able to answer for you. In the meantime, I have got some things that I can start with and keep getting your while we get your questions in. I'm apparently having some problems with my stream, so let me know if things are all right with you guys. Charlene, how are you? Let me know if all is well or all is not well. Is this a smooth stream or not? This is bothersome, so I'll just have to to wing it and see how it goes. We got Tim McHugh Animations, Charlene, Zedpo, Culture Sean Art, the lovely Hervonia Baker, and Cameron Black. Cameron, I got your message. Hold fire on sending me the Wizzy thing. I can't quite understand why that happened. I'll have to look into that and discuss that with my missus. So I'm looking forward. I was wondering why I hadn't received the Wizzy gift that you was going to send me. And then I got your message and figured it out. So I'm not sure why that happened. I apologize too, because that shouldn't have happened. Okay, so hang fire and I'll get back in touch with you regarding that. All right, so what I'm going to do, Charlene, if you've got a question, Tim, if you've got a question, if any of you have a question, then ask away and I'll be willing to answer that. Before we do that, we'll go into the group, but I'll show you what I'm working on at the moment. I'm working on this hair flick with Gracie Goodbear. So the animation, it's quite a long one actually. We've got it. She looks to the camera. She zombies all out, walks towards us. The camera pulls away while she's doing her zombie head maneuvers, gets into position. We see her feet. She does her zombie walk while the camera's moving around. Close up, opens her arms, continues her zombie dance. Then we see her look to the camera, her feet get into position. Now I'm in betweening this section here. So thank you so much, Charlene. Thank you so much. It stops and go at first, but it's fine now. Okay. Thank you so much. Right, so what I'm going to do is talk about a couple of things. So ask your questions if you have them. We're going to go into the growth, development, and progress group. No, Cameron, I'm going to be coming to the UK next year, my annual trip to the UK. So maybe we can figure it out then if we can't get it working. Okay. I'm going to come into this growth, development, and progress group, and I'm going to look at a couple of posts here. First, I'm going to look at Elena Eccentrics. I attempted to animate a mannered dance-like walk of Rattigan from the Grace Mouse Detective. Now, I'm not sure if you did this as a study or you actually animated this from your imagination. I remember Rattigan walking in a manner, in a style similar to this, but this is a nice cycle. I'm liking it. I'm just going to look at the spacing here. So we're slowing out of that. We're slowing out of the down, going into the up. And we're all pretty linear from here on in. Okay. So, what would be interesting about this is how you time it. Because if we play it, it's on ones at the moment, right? So you've already in-betweened it. Now I'm going to play it and look at the speed. Right? So I feel that, I don't know what your frame rate is, because that's on ones, but you may be exporting it on 12 frames a second because it's very slow. And how many frames a step have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 9, so it's an 18 frame cycle on once. Right, but it feels it feels that it's moving very, very slowly and it lacks any weight. So my suggestion would be, with this kind of dance thing, is to push your slow outs and slow ins a bit more. So that'll vary the speed. So at the moment, we've got a definite slow in, slow out here, right? Which is good, right? And we're coming to that. But now we get a very linear movement here, right? And the legs are linear. The legs are also linear here, right? Also, you want to watch your anatomy of this knee area here. So the foot, the arc of the foot is coming back, but then the knee is not really squashing and stretching or pulling or bending at the right place, right? And here it comes up here like this. So while we should really feel that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at your poses and I'm going to try to reinterpret this. It's probably the best thing I can do. I don't know if you studied this from Glenn Keane's walk. So I'm not sure. It said I attempted to animate a mannered dance-like walk of Rattigan, so it could be your attempt, but there's something very slow about it. Now, unless I'm looking at it in the context of the music or whatever, then it's difficult to say, but I personally, offhand, just talking from a timing perspective, I'm just going to take your poses, and I'm not going to get too caught up in drawing Rattigan. Let's get a thicker brush. So one thing I'd like you to think about is the flowing nature of, it's much like the way we teach the flour sack. I know that you have, you're a library member, Elena, so we're gonna think about, I'm gonna talk about your knee points as well, right? Because that kind of is gonna kind of help it. I'm gonna just deal with it like a shape like this. I'm not really gonna go in animating the character and drawing the character. Let's just do something like that, right? And then we've got the midpoint here and the arm. Great posing. It looks like I'm getting the feel of Rattigan's actual poses from memory of the film. So that's why I'm not sure if this is a study or it's your own walk cycle. I've got a feeling it's your own because of the timing, right? Now, one of the things that I'd like you to think about is when you're making your drawings, right? Obviously, you'll do the character on top. And you'll put in but try to get and Cameron, I want you to really think about this too, Cameron and Charlene, right? You can go and put your styling over it later, but really try to get these flowing shapes. AMB, I'm currently studying and practicing the quadruped walk cycle. I'm getting more comfortable animating it in profile and stationary, but how do I animate my quadruped walking across the screen? Well, it's the points, Charlene. Okay, let's quickly, Charlene. All right, back to fundamental basics. So you're learning the cycle. Right? So you understand the dog's locomotion. So let's say that you want your quadruped, right? Let's say it's here and it's looking around, right? Let's put the other arm. Let's say you want your quadruped, right? Probably more like this. Looking around, right? So you're going to understand that this is where his front leg is, right? So when this moves here, right? His other arm is going to be here and his rear leg is going to be here, right? So when you do your keys, when you put your keys, you got to have your lock-in positions, right? So the next lock-in position would be this, right? So his other arm would be hair, right? Maybe he'll be looking the other way now, right? Then if this arm is hair, then obviously this foot is going to be more like in the pass position, and this foot is going to be around about here, because this foot's going to come here, right? And then this foot is going to come off and take a foot there like that. So you want to really think about your positions of where your back legs are going and where your front legs are going in terms of your thing. So you memorize, you learn the steps of the walk, you know, in relation to this one's coming here, so that one's going to come off there when that one comes down. But then obviously there's a squash and stretch happening in the legs of the dog as his back legs and front legs are moving. So you want to really map those positions. So let me move on from the Rattigan for now, and let me quickly block something out, right? So let me just turn that off so I don't get any onion skin on that. Right, so let's say that I've got a quadruped here like this, right? Right, and then we've got this in a pass position and this one here like that. All right, let's just say that we got something like this going on. Right, a little bit outstretched, outreached, probably more like that. Right, so what I'm going to do is then I'm going to do a kind of straight ahead thing with this guy coming here like this, right? Let me thin my brush because it'll get too scribbly. Right. So we're going to do a straight ahead action of this coming here like this, right? With this one will be coming back like that, right? Then this one will obviously be coming forward, right? And the rear leg is here, right? So you kind of play with your straight ahead, right? And then you can pick out your key poses, right? So then this one is naturally going to then, as this foot is going to be coming down, right? Here like this. This arm is going to be coming away, forward like that. This leg is still going to be kind of on the hind thing like this. So it's very, very rough, right? Bump, 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 right? Then again, now look, now watch his feet position. The arm is going to be coming forward, right, like this. This arm is going to be here like this, right? This leg is going to be coming back, like that. This leg is going to be coming forward, like that. Let's see if Charlene's got anything to say. Am I answering her question, right? Right? So here we've got it going here like this. So all of the action is going as this foot is coming down, this arm is coming up. That's the easiest way to remember it. And then you can start if you want to go on to other things. Now I'll show you how we're going to like block out. So you want to, like my personal way, right, would be to do a straight ahead take on it, and then go in and draw in my keys, right? So this would be like this, right? Then this would be coming over here like this, right? This would be here like this, right? And let's just do one more after that, and then we'll start making sense of it, right? So now this is going to be coming down here like that. This is going to be coming to the middle, right? It's like this, right? Right, so we have something like this, right? It's getting small, getting loss of volume. So what I want to do is I want to pick out my contact positions and figure out where my downs are going to be, right? My contact positions are going to be, and then where my midway breakdown positions are going to be, right? So we've roughed out something really quick, right? He's walking. We can finish him across the screen, but it's going to take too long, right? Let's just make up an animal here, right? Let's make up an animal, right? So let's have a snout like this, right? Let's have a body like this, right? Let's have something like this. Little fun cartoon paws going on here, right? Something like that. Okay, so that's the first one, right? That's our first one, right? Don't want that, don't want that, I want this, right? I want the one where his next foot comes into contact with the ground, right? Which is, I think it's this one actually. So we miss one. Yeah. Yeah, this one. So I'm going to take this, all right? Now you'd normally use a light box and put your light box over it, but I'm just going to paste it in here so you can truly see and understand, right? And I'm going to turn that color, right? Now I'm going to then actually, let's do it the other way. Let's put a blank sheet of paper here. Let's put it here, right? So now I can go and I can use my reference. So this foot is now going to be on the ground, right? Right here, right? This foot, if I put my light box on, is still there, right? So it's just about, it's about making the action, Charlene, add up, like have its extremes and keys, right? So now this one is going to be something like this, and I've got to have this ball here like that, right? We'll have him looking over there, right? Right. So now we've got that position sorted out, right? We've got him from there to, let's delete that key. We've got him from there to there, right? Let's just do that. Right, let's do that. Let's do that. Being extra rough. From there to there, right? So now we want to figure out the next one, right? So we could have had him go into a little trot here from my rough, but let's keep it simple, right? So we're going to go from here to here, right? Not there, this one. So I'm going to take this, right? I added an extra 2 frames in between there, right? And I'm going to create another frame. I'm going to paste that in, right? So now we've got that there, right? So let's turn on the light box. Let's go there, right? So we have got our rear leg coming in here like this, right? Got to get those rear legs, and this foot has come up off the ground, right? So this is where we're going to kind of make it work, add up, right? So it's all about the placement of your hind feet, right? Locking those feet into placements and also making sure that your other one, see, I've got a bit of an issue going on with this because that's what I've done. I've moved the arm too far forward, right? So that's where it gets a bit tricky when you're doing this. So this arm comes down here, right? Like this. This arm will probably be coming off the ground now, right? Because I can't lock it there. It's a little bit too much, right? We've moved him a little bit too much. And actually, I want to vary the speed. That gives you a more naturalistic if I keep him all the time with his legs locked to the ground, so I'm going to throw his rear arm off the ground, and I'm going to have him plant this one down. So it's bang, 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 yeah, like that. So we're going to plant that one down, right, like that. It can be a little bit tricky, especially if you're new to it. But then, as I said, it doesn't make it hard, Charlene. It just makes it about building brain cells, right? So this foot is going to come off the ground here like this, and this one is going to come here, probably about here. So we're not going to really see that so much. I'm going to have that foot about there like that. Right. It's going to be about here like this. Let's turn his head towards us. Right. So we've got, these are the 3 placements that we've got, right? We've got these 3 positions, right? And I don't need that. So the in-betweens, right? The rough in-betweens that I'm going to throw in. We're going to throw in a pass position on that rear leg, right? And we're going to keep that leg on the ground, just there like that. This one, I'm going to be lifting, right? Should technically be lifting as that one's coming off, right? But I'm kind of like playing around with the personality and changing the pace. But don't you do that. You just kind of stick to your original stuff. I'm being fast here, and to be honest, it's been a while since I've animated a quadruped, so I'm just using my instincts and my brains to get me right back onto it, right? So it's a good question, because it's one that's you've caught me on that I'm really cold on, but I'm having to dig deep into the memory banks of the real animator training things that I've taught you to give you the kind of like memory, give you the demonstration of how to put it into practice, right? So there we've got that going there, right? Now we want to clear a bit of ground here like this. So I'm going to take this frame here, right? And because I've got 2 in between rather than 1, I'm going to think about my spacing, right? So here we're going to have him reaching out, because I like the reaching out. It gives him a bit of... This is what I'm talking about, Charlene. Is once you've learned all those various gaits of the quadruped, like we do in the you do in the training library, the single suspension gallop, the double suspension gallop, the trot, the walk, the canter. You can then start to, which is what I'm instinctively doing here, right? You can start to throw in various steps, so you're not doing a robotic, boring quadruped walk like you're not just doing a cycle sliding across the screen. But that's going to come, to be very honest with you, that's going to take time. That's going to come with a lot of study and practice. So we've got this, right? And now we're going to throw in one. What did I delete? Did I delete the wrong one? Let me undo that. No, I did. No, I didn't. No, that's just a really bad rough, the next one. All right. So let's redo that, right? Because as we start coming into position, so why am I not seeing the previous frame? Let's just delete that, because that's completely useless. All right, so we've got this frame here. Next panel, previous panel. Let me delete that. That's so odd. Okay, no, that's because I see what I did. I see what I did. I gone and put this here. I want to delete this. Excuse me. Right. So that was my extra key. So now I'm going to come in here. Now I don't need this rough in between because it is just completely useless. But I'm going to throw it in there anyway. So we're going to come in like this. Right. Right. And this is still going to be on the floor here like this, right? Really, now we're going to throw in the pass position because it'd be odd without the pass position. There's something like there. Of course, the cryptic people who think that animators are always throwing in secret things all there will be thinking I'm being rude with the dog. That'll be it now. That's what happens when you use the light box. Right, so that goes more like that. Getting used to the quadruped joints again. Been a while. Right. But you see how all the information is retained from the training library? Because I had to actually re-educate myself when I built that quadruped archive, because although I'd animated quadrupeds in my career, not often, right? So I made sure that I became extremely knowledgeable in them by really studying all the various gaits, horse anatomy and all that kind of stuff, just so I could instruct you guys in the training library to do it the right way. Right, so let's take a little look. All right, now, Charlene, you can see we've got the beginning of a dog walking across the screen. So the main takeaway here, Charlene, is if you're unsure about your positions, right? If you're unsure about your positions, you can do a straight ahead run, and you can go ahead and place your positions where they need to be. The other thing that you can do very quickly before we go off to Rattigan, shouldn't have done that. That's the Rattigan we were doing, right? The other thing we can do, so let's get rid of that. Another one, a fun way to do quadrupeds in a more cartoony way, right? Where we're focusing less on trying to get the gait right, is you just have your block, right? You just have your block, right? And let's then have the block come up like this, right? Right. So, Charlene, I've kind of shown you how to apply the things that you did in your training using what you got from the training library. But once we kind of understand all that, right? Once we kind of understand all that, we can then start having fun, right? So just like a bouncing ball, right? I'm going to come in here, right? Actually, let's do something like that. That'll be more quadruped-like. Just like a bouncing ball. Right. I have this. And this is wild. You need to have a proper layout and a proper key and all that kind of stuff. Let's put in a bit of a twist, right? let's put in a bit of a twist, right? So let's finally twist it out, right? All right. This is the kind of stuff everybody wants to be doing, but I had to show Charlene all right, let's have a complete kind of twist going on here like that. Right. And then it'll, which way is it twisting? Twists this way. So, oh, we'll sort that out later, right? Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, right. So, let's say we've got something like this, right? Like a little kind of like bouncing ball like that. Now, Charlene, as you understand all the various positions of the quadruped sets as you're learning in the intermediate archive of the training library, you're just going to kind of improvise, right? So let's say that I want to have my back legs here like this, right? And my front legs are going to be down like this, right? Right. So we're going to kind of go with the shape, right? Back legs, front legs, right? Then we're going to come up, we're going to look at that. I'm going to actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, I want to push the squash and stretch on this thing, right? Be a lot more fun if I push the squash and stretch on that, right? So we're going to bring the back legs up. Obviously, there's going to be almost like a horse style thing, right? So all the time, just like I mentioned to you before, I'm looking, right? Let's keep the head. Let's use the same model. Let's keep the head angled up and just play with the whole. Let's play like a real wild animator that just discovered opposing actions, right? So we're gonna keep our eye on those things, but we're not gonna stick religiously to the rules of when this foot comes down. We understand that that's how he keeps balance, but we know what we can do with the leg, right? We know the anatomy of the leg, right? The knee hair is hair, right? And then the back of the foot comes down and they're on the tiptoes, right? We know that that's the anatomy of the leg and that it can bend, right? And as it bends, it comes like this. And as it stretches, right, it goes like this, right? So we know, we understand this. And the same with the front arm, right? The shoulder blade is hair. The elbow is hair. The arm, but we got to come back to the straight line here, right? The forearm is hair. And the fingers are here like that, right? We understand. And then similarly, when that goes down on itself, the shoulder blade will go forward like this, right? The elbow will come back, right? Should be just down like that. This comes down here. And then the other way is like, comes up like this. And then it stretches off just like a human arm. It looks like that there, right? Where this is stretches in there and the neutral position is there, right? So I'm being kind of fast, but because kind of we go into detail and all that in the intermediate archive with your stick quadruped. So let's keep this moving. Now here, right? So then here is kind of like, I'm kind of missing a frame here, right? So this would have to come up here like that. His arms would come down. So I'm kind of working it out and I'll throw in the other frame, right? So then his arm is going to be bent, just like I kind of explained to you the kind of shoulder anatomy there. His arm is going to be bent. Great question, Charlene. You kind of like released my cobwebs of quadrupeds and all of the information is coming out now. So what happens is as it comes down, his legs are going to be up, but his legs are still going to kind of be catching up with themselves here, right? maybe one leg is going to be more on the floor than the other, like this. So one leg is going to already be down, right, like that. So its head is going to be up, right? So what about the one in between, right? So it's like this, but that's a bit extreme. We're missing an important frame here, so we're going to we can throw in an in-between, but you don't have to, right? I'm throwing it in so you can see the movement, right? So we want to have this arch thing here like that in the back, right? And the reaching of the arms, right? So the arms are going to kind of come. And this, Charlene, is going in what we call in the intermediate archive of the training library, the double suspension gallop, or possibly the single. Now I could have one arm out, right, and the other arm back. Let's try that. Let's go back to what we do in the single and double suspension gallop. Since you're learning specifically from that information, let's try to channel that information and actually put it into practice. So let's have one arm a little bit over the other one like that, right? Get it more quadruped-like, right? There we go, right? Like that. Then obviously these legs are going to do a bit of follow-through, overlap, and drag, right? All right, this one will maybe be a bit more back on itself because it's ready to come down more, right? I'm going to have that out there like that, right? Bum, 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 right? Bum, 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 right? Now, we're going to throw in another one in there, right? Because we need to see the action of the. It's very important. This is what this goes back to what I was telling Eccentrics, Elena Eccentrics, about her Ratigan, is the slow in and slow out, the squash and stretch aspects need to be pushed. So we need to push this slow in, but it also gives us a chance to see the mechanics of the rear legs, right? Coming into play here like this, right? See the mechanics of the rear leg coming into play like that. Which then makes me want to change this and put this rear leg to the ground, right? Just what it should have been. Because I've missed a lot of in-betweens. Because I was focusing, I'd moved from straight ahead, Charlene. Those of you who are not very well versed in animation, and I'm using all these terms, apologies. Charlene is a long-time training library member. She'll know exactly, this isn't my answering her question, she'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I jumped from straight ahead to pose, and I was trying to kind of fudge some in-betweens, but let's do it. Let's put that in there like that. So now we've got this part, right? So we'll finish this. This will like take us on from the bouncing ball that we did last thing. So we've got like a little bit of an action there, and then we can play around with all that, right? So let's then, now I can already see what needs to be done, right? So this probably needs to be a little bit higher like this. So I'm going to then go into a reaching, another kind of reaching. So this paw landed first. So this paw is going to be outstretched, right? This paw is going to be. So we're doing our kind of like paw positions that we learned from both the single suspension gallop and the double suspension gallop, right? So again, this is going to be out here like this, and this is going to be, actually this one is going to be trailing back, sorry. So I'm going to deal with this one because this one hit the ground last, right? So that hit the ground last. So real kind of squash and stretch going on here. This one landed first, so this one is already up, right? This one landed first, the hind one landed first, so the hind one will be ready to go quicker, right? Like that. Right? So we've got something like this, right? And the more we squash in here, the less in-betweens we need for this, right? That's okay. So now we're going to have another landing position here, right? So we've got our rear arms landing there and our rear leg landing here. Let's have that one coming in front now. Right. It's a little bit really scribbly as I'm getting kind of adventurous with this thing. Right. But you can see how you can start really having fun with quadrupeds once you understand these gaits, right? So this thing will be coming, it would have landed, right? And this foot would have not quite landed, right? And then we want to have our back doing more like that. So I'm going to get rid of that black under drawing thing because it's no longer required, right? So the two that are going to be going in between here and here will be, I'll just put one to keep this moving. It will be to vary the speed, right? So this one will be coming off the ground like that. Notice how I'm really kind of focusing on the paws, right? That's where I'm putting my attention, right? By putting my attention on the paws, I'm able to make sense of the movements, right? So then this one actually, let's do it with less in-betweens. Let's do it with less in-betweens. Let's already have that reaching, right? Let's have that reaching halfway. Let's break this down, right? Right. And if we have that reaching halfway, right, we can then have that one coming off like that, right? So that kind of creates a nice stopgap, and we can see the anatomy of the legs moving more there like that. Right. We're going to keep our legs. Our legs are going to be, they're just going to be more kind of propelling our guy forward, really. This one's going to be already kind of propelling off. So it's very, when we're going back into the mechanics, I'm going to have to do this for your sake, so you can see what I'm doing, right? Because it's getting very scribbly, right? So when we're going into the mechanics, we're having this arm already kind of already coming off the ground. Let's draw it in the stick quadruped so you understand, Charlene, right? And this paw will be coming up like that, right? Now what's happening here, right, is I'm just kind of leveraging and pushing off from this position, right? And this one, I'm having pushing off. I'm not having them leaving the ground at all, right? So we're kind of leveraging from there. And we're going to kind of join that in like that, right? And we're going to bring that down. So that's essentially, I'm going so fast here because I was originally answering the other question, but this is a fun question that Charlene got me to. That's how we're working the legs out, right? Now I'm going to do one between hair and hair, not more than that, right? So, and that'll vary the speed as well, which is good. Right, so again, right, I want this one to land first, right? So I'm going to have, this one has already landed, but I want this one, sorry, to land in front. So this foot has already landed, but I want to focus on this arm hair, right? So I'm just going to put that hair like that. And the other arm would be more like that, with its shoulder blade there like that, right? There's like this, right? Then what'll happen is we're still going to be following that path. We're going to have a lot more squash and stretch going on here. This thing will be more in the kind of like ready to land position, and this one will be more in the, I'm going to kind of keep them parallel almost like that, the feet, because it kind of helps the shape work, which means I'll probably change this key, right? I'll keep his foot off the ground because that's a nicer pose, right? It's a nicer pose. So we'll keep that parallel, right? May want to land his foot now from doing that, right? So you see, as I'm going back, I'm kind of revising as I'm getting stronger poses, right? So that comes here like this. This one comes out here like this. This one comes back here like this, right? Like that. So those of you who are talking about drawing, right? Drawing. Look how I'm being so loose and so scribbly. Because it's true, if I was animating a human, my drawings, so when I'm being rough with a human, like hair, right? My drawing is way less scribbly, right? This is me roughing more humanoid characters, right? But but look at my life drawings. Look at the sketches I've made from life, right? Really like this. So people that think that you need to be like when you rough good animation, it's always got to be badass drawings. You got to understand, if you want to do, you got to focus on the movement first before you start throwing in the drawings, right? So here now we've got something like this, right? We've got something like this. Now we're gonna do just a few more. How are we doing for time on our stream? 52 minutes. This is so cool. I'll be reviewing the suspension gallops next week. I'm currently working on the basic walk and trot. Just so people understand what Charlene's talking about, gives me a nice opportunity to mention Real Animator Training. So Charlene is a member of the Real Animator Training Library, and she is talking about what's in this archive. So if you click on Real Animator Training, there are two types of training options. There's training and edutainment. She's doing training. In the intermediate archive, we have got a number of lectures. First, dealing with the flour sack, right? So you learn about squash and stretch. After you finish squash and stretch with this 3-part lecture, you learn anticipation, 2-part lecture. After that, you learn follow through, overlap, and drag, right? Now, after that, you learn primary and secondary action. And after that, you learn staging, right? And after that, you do a 4-step human walk cycle, which Patchtoons did very well. Now, this is what Charlene's talking about. So the way you learn it in the training library, so the way you can see me just blocking it out really loose here, is you learn out these cycles by learning in detail what the back legs do and what the front arms do, what the timing is of them together, and what the timing of them is in relation to the head, right? And then you kind of put it all together with the skin. And that's how you learn the first, so 5 videos for the walk, right? And then you do the same with a trot, right? You do the same with a trot. And you do the same with a canter, right? And so you don't just do it all in one go, like what you see me doing here, right? And by learning it like this, right? So here's the single suspension gallop, right? And here's the double suspension gallop. By learning it like this, you will have programmed your subconscious mind. So that's the training library. You learn in the advanced archive, you learn how to do a cartoon quadruped on model, naturalistic. So by learning it like that, you kind of train and ingrained in your subconscious all these various ways that the dog's legs move or the quadruped's legs move. Doesn't matter if it's a horse, doesn't matter if it's a dog or a cat. You kind of all have the same structure. So let's just talk about this for a second. So a human has a deltoid, right? A bicep, a tricep, a forearm, right? And a hand. You can see I'm much more comfortable with humans, but I can still animate a quadruped no problem, right? But just a little slower at drawing it, right? So a human has a hand like this. A dog, right, or a cat, there is some subtle differences, would have something, right, like this, right? Probably more like that, right? A horse would be a little bit different, right? But it would still, right, have, right? So here's the horse's elbow, right? Here's the horse's forearm, right? But then it would have something like this, right? Which is here it's all its fingertips fused together on its big nail, right? So a horse would be something like this. But ultimately the human arm, the shoulder would bend like this, right? With the, like that. The dog will have, we're kind of doing that now, will bend like this, right? So it's still kind of like you can kind of see what's happening here. Now the horse might feel like it's doing something different, but it's not, right? So here's the elbow, right? And here's the wrist, right? And here's, you know, what it does. So you could just make that a big ball if you like, right? Well, there is that as well. So there's one extra little bit there on the horse, right? But it's more or less the same thing, and they all reach in the same way. Like, so the human arm will reach like this. This is why anatomy is super important, right? I'm only talking about the front arms at the moment, right? I'm not, and the dog will be like this, right? I like to throw a little, right? The dog will be like this, and the horse will be something like this, right? More like that. Right. Very noble, very elegant. Right. So the back legs, very quickly. I'm not gonna do as much, right? So a human back leg, the knee, right? Let's just put him in a squat position with the foot flat, the heel, right? The heel gives it away, right? So the dog, his knee is here, right? And this heel is up here like this, right? Try to keep this straight, try to keep this straight, right? And then his paws are like this, right? Or the cat, which is slightly different but very similar kind of theory. The horse, again, little bit different, like got a big kind of knee here, but the muscle coming here more straight. Same idea, straight, right? But then coming here like this, right? Yes, kind of like that. We want it more straight up on a horse, right? So this horse leg is then can be taken like the back kind of legs of a bird, right? So a bird will be more like, right, like that, right? So it's a variant of the horse. So the master key, my mic is doubled. Okay, sorry about that. Thank you for telling me. So all through 1 hour, we've got a doubled mic. So apologies about that. But if you really want this information, it's there, right? So the master key for all of this stuff really is anatomy, right? Anatomy, real anatomy, right? Not like shitty kind of like shortcut anatomy. Real anatomy is your absolute friend, right? We're going to come in here. We're going to come put some muscles on here, right? We'll come here, put some abductors, right? Real anatomy is your absolute friend. You can, once you've got anatomy down, right? You can scribble anything super fast, whether it's a horse, a dog, or anything like that, and you can animate at super fast speed, and everything is becomes really, really simple. So while you're watching me doing all this, right, really, really quickly, scribbly, rough, whatever, bear in mind that the drawing comes, the drawing it in nicely comes afterwards, right? So now here I'm going to kind of like, I'm not going to push too much off the legs, right? We're just going to do something like that, right? Bum, 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 right? And we're going to come in again, right? So as we're going to come in, we're going to bring these arms up again, right? Which kind of like takes us back to the start. So this pose is bad, right? I'm going to get rid of that, right? As I scribble that out, because now I'm going to do something a lot more fun here, right? So I'm going to slow this up more, right? And I'm going to really kind of bend those arms into position. You see now, after like warming up a little bit with anatomy, I'm being having even more kind of fun and shapes with my shapes, right? Now I'm going to bring this leg up, right? Then for the next one, we're going to fire that down, right? Going to bring them down together. Going to make him like horse-like. Let's change him from being a dog into almost like a horse kind of position. So the reason the horse kicks out, right? Now I know horses better than I know dogs, right? So the reason the horse kicks out, right, is because these legs want to kind of kick out, but his arms have touched the ground first, right? So as his arms have touched the ground first, he's going to want to finish his little maneuver, right? So what happens is the back kind of comes down, and these legs kind of want to just go, I want to kick out, right? I want to kick out like that, right? So that's kind of like what happens. So we've got a dog that thinks it's a horse at the moment, right? Which is a lot of fun, right? So we got boom, boom, right? So then now I'm going to kind of really just kind of do some crazy made up stuff here, right? So let's bring these hind legs in. As we're bringing those hind legs in, we're going to have a little bit of a play up like this, right? So this is going to stay boom, boom, right? So as these hind legs get to the ground, so there's going to be a little bit of a wave going on here, right? So they get to the ground like that. Notice how this is like a human foot, right? I'm well and truly warmed up with my quadruped now, right? Right, so then this one is then going to come to the ground, right? But then this one is going to come up, right? We're going to have a nice little bit of play with those front paws, right? So this one is going to come up. Then this is going to come down, right? We're going to have a nice positioning ready for him to get into his... We're going to kind of change that. Position into this. Timing's a bit off, but we're having fun. Hey, do you use anatomy as a constant for the frame of a character? Always. You can't. Anatomy is a must. Even when I'm doing this, I'm thinking of anatomy, right? So here we've got like, this doesn't really work, what I did there as I'm explaining the horse thing. He should have moved forward. But let's just continue it through. Let's set him up to another little thing there like that. So I wanted to have him change from a dog to a horse, but it breaks the action, right? But I'm going to keep it in there. Let's just keep him jumping. So let's have him turn and fluid out. You cannot, so when we do real animator training, we make sure that, so let's first have him, right. We make sure that we learn using basic shapes, but we also make sure we learn the bones of the body, right? Notice how I'm not talking about muscles, right? A lot of people learning anatomy online want to jump to the muscles because they want to draw. They want to create illustrations. But an animator really needs to understand bones. Because it's the bones and the joints that are the things that are moving, right? And I can put any shape on these bones, right? Now I can be a master of musculature and say, okay, well, let's go in here, right? And let's now start thinking about the dog's musculature, right? So the bone is here like this, and the other bone is here. Let's now put in some muscles, right? Let's put in some muscles on there, right? The chest will be here, right? This, I can go in. Let's put in the rib cage, right? Let's put in the pelvis is here. And let's put in the other muscle here, the patella, the other muscle here like this, the tendon, all the various aspects. So I can then throw in the buttocks and then the latissimus dorsi coming around here, the shoulder, right? So I can do all that, the muscles, but the muscles make it look pretty. But what's the point of having a pretty looking drawing? It's good to have a pretty looking drawing if you're doing an illustration, right? So if I'm doing an illustration and I want to get the musculature of the dog, I would do my research, but I also understand the musculature because it's not too different from human musculature, right? So it's got its own kind of sternoclide. The skull is coming in the middle like this. Perhaps that's more like a horse skull. Right. So yeah, no, that's a dog skull. So I can go and do that, right? But that's not really the kind. That anatomy does help. It does help, but it's not really the kind of anatomy that is going to help me create a nice flowing piece of animation, right? So now we wanted to kind of have him kind of twist a bit, didn't we? So let's have him reach out with this arm. All right. So if he's reaching out with this arm, it'd be more like that. So I'm going to have to throw in some kind of, so his back's going to be here, right? So here's where I'm thinking about the anatomical aspects of it, right? So as that's going there, there's going to be a twist, right? We're going to have his rear leg out here like this. So I'm really kind of screwing around now, but let's just keep having fun. That's the whole point of it. Straight ahead, bit of fun, right? So now from here, we're going to twist him some more. So this arm is going to be up here like that, right? And he's growing in volume as I'm doing that. Well, who cares? His head is going to be upside down. His other arm is going to be like this. So his shoulder is going to be here, right? So if his butt is there, so then this leg, I'm really trying to play around with the dog anatomy now, right? So when I was talking about anatomy before, right? Trying to do something without reference here with a quadruped. This is the real test. I love it. I love putting a challenge onto myself, right? Haven't done quadrupeds for ages because they're not really in my personal projects. I've gone and anthropomorphized all my animals, but let's go and do that there, right? Let's go and put a twist in there, right? So then this reaching around here like that, gonna come out. So the rib cage is here like this. This arm will be up, bent like this. Chest. I'm gonna have to do this drawing again, right? I'm gonna kind of change the angle of the legs there so they're kind of splayed a bit because he's unwinding himself. Really, really crazy stuff, right? Okay, I know what I'm doing here, right? So eccentrics I was gonna go over her Rattigan thing, and I still will, right? But I just think this is a great little fun off the cuff thing, just from one little question by Charlene, right? So you see how I kind of find my dog pose, right? And then this what I was telling eccentrics about getting a flowing pose, right? So when we were looking at her Rattigan thing, and I was making these big flowing lines out of it. It's no different with this dog, right? The way to tidy up this is to start thinking about, okay, how can I make a nice flowing pose? So you see, it is very much about drawing, right? It is very much about drawing, but you see how I don't waste time trying to get the nice drawing. The nice drawing I know is in there by default, right? Some of you may not be able to see it with that. Some of you may look at that and say, oh, that's a bit off, right? But then with me, I see things like this, right? So I can immediately start turning my drawings into very appealing shapes, right? Then we're going to bring him in for a landing, right? So again, I'm not trying to so we have the knee here, the knee here, this here. This will be more bent here like this. This will have made contact. Let's rub that out so you can see that. This will have made contact. This will be more bent. And it will need its in-betweens, but after this I'm kind of just going to leave it, because I think I've kind of already helped Charlene, and now I've kind of gone into my own kind of like, oh, I haven't done quadrupeds for a while, let me do something crazy and play, right? To refresh my brain, right? I'm not sure if that's going to work. Let's have a look. Boom. Yeah, with a few in-betweens. Maybe I'll throw in a couple of in-betweens so we can see how that works. Okay. So we kind of rough in something like this. So this thing, if it wasn't doing this bit, it would work like this, right? But we kind of ruined what the original plan was by having him do this little horse kick here. The little horse kick should not really be happening, right? So what I think I can do is I can go from this, right? I'm going to, as I got carried away explaining all this stuff to you guys, right? I'm going to go in here, right? And I'm going to delete all of this. And we can go straight into this. So all we have to do is put that there. Put that there. Put that there, right? Arcing, right? Put that there. Put that there. Put that down there. Okay, he's gone far too low, right? So we were kind of like right the first time. Okay. Now let's see what we got. Should arc more like a bouncing ball. There we go. Right. I'm just gonna leave that because it's playing around too much. It's and I'm not gonna keep tweaking it to fix it. Ultimately, Charlene's question was how to have it going across the screen, and we tackled that, right? But hopefully what you've seen with this little play here is you have seen me kind of show you the quadruped locomotions, and as I've kind of gone crazy and with this straight ahead thing, it hasn't really come out in a very naturalistic way that I'd like to. But what I can show you about this is how we can then start getting nice poses out of it, right? By understanding those things, right? So my suggestion to you guys is that you should really, once you start learning these mechanics, right, just like I did, you should just play. You should play and have fun, and you can see, you'll be able to see how you'll be able to kind of like understand how to move a complex character like a quadruped, right? And to understand what's going on with those various shapes, right? So I can come in here like this. But it's always good to have a plan if you're going to do something, right? It's always good to have a plan. Right? So you can see the good drawing is hidden in there, right? The good drawing is hidden in there, right? So I am going to move on from that and go back to what we were originally talking about, which was, let's see, not Charlene's, the Rattigan Walk. I look forward to practice and play this concept tonight. Thank you, AMB, for taking the time to answer my question. Awesome. Okay, before I continue with this, let's see how we're doing for timing on the stream. 1 hour, 23 minutes. Great. Let me now go on to have a look at what people are saying in the chat. We've got some people turned up. We've got Batch Tunes. How are you? I'm building brain cells via the quadruped cycles. Grayson Epting, how are you? I've been working the quadruped walk cycle a couple of months. It's getting easier. It's good to memorize the cycle, but then also have these plays like I've had, Charlene. Like I've literally had a play for about an hour. Maybe it didn't come out to be anything worth showing to anybody or fantastic, but what the important thing is you build some brain cells on moving that quadruped, getting comfortable with that quadruped, getting some good drawings out of that quadruped, and that'll kind of help you with that. Kira Killjoy, how are you? Thanks for telling me about the double mic. Okay, Charlene didn't notice the double mic. I realized you look like Lucifer from Netflix. How cool. You know, I don't know what that is. I remember my daughter telling me something like that ages ago. I think it must be a pretty old show. I don't know what it is. I hope Lucifer is is a good guy in that, because I think Lucifer is not supposed to be a good guy, although it means the enlightened one. So I'm not quite. I'm trying to draw my character in a different, more cartoony style, having some trouble adapting to it. Well, immerse yourself in cartoon style drawings. Dragon Artist, how are you? Constraints for the frame of the character, you'll see I'm using shapes. But once anatomy is basically how you piece it all together, how you make sense of it. Not necessarily the frame. While you see, I'm going to block something out with shapes at the moment. When is it a good time to use straight to curved drawings? All the time, always. Straights represent bones, curves represent the skin and the musculature and the fat. If there was something on the dog's back, I think it would do that. Yes, you're right. I don't have a regular time. I'm not going to stream for 2 weeks because it's my daughter's 21st, and I'm taking her away with my whole family. We're all going away, and we're going away for 2 weeks. So there's nothing. I'm not going to be streaming for 2 weeks. So far, I catch streaming on Mondays. Today I found him early. Awesome. So it goes bone, constraints, rough animation, refined finish. Not really. The thing is if I want to draw a shape, if I want to like if I want to animate this shape, right? I know that this is the legs, right? But I can, because I understand anatomy, I can make these legs do whatever I want them to do, right? I can do that, and I can animate that, right? And people, but the thing is I'm super experienced that I can make something. I can then go in here and throw in a rib cage, a pelvis, right? And say, okay, the pelvis and the rib cage are going against each other, right? What's the bones gonna do? The foot, right? The other bone, right? Then I can come in here like and figure out the knee position, right? And then the other knee position, right? And the foot position of that, right? Then you'll go in here, and this is where the navel is, the stomach, the obliques, right? The chest, right? The shoulders, the bicep, right? So I can come in here and make it a realistic figure, right? Now everybody's online talking about this simple up angle, right? If you understand the skull and the way the skull works, it's really not going to be a problem, right? Right, so I'm not going to allow any trend to dictate my posts. Right, so I can have something like that. And anatomy, that anatomy is the key, but I don't have to draw like that, right? I can start putting like cartoon shapes, right? Because I've done a lot of anatomy study, I can go in here and say that that's like drapery, right? And that's like big boots, right? So I can go in and put shapes of boots already on there, right? To push the anatomy, right? I can change the angle here and say that that's all hanging off the chest, right? And then we've got a loose shirt, right? But I know, because I know anatomy, right? Let's give him a sword, right? Because I know anatomy, I can go and do those things. See, this line isn't just the line here. This is the line of the shoulder turning and going to the cuff of the forearm. where other things will go, right? Then I can give him a beard, right? Coming off the front there, like that, right? So I don't even have to do that. I can make it a completely abstract, like with a little kind of knobbly knee here, right? Completely abstract, like let's give him a bit of a belly, right? Right. Not completely abstract, but it seems like there's anatomy in there, but it's really kind of vague cartoon. Let's give him big forearms. This vague kind of cartoon, right? Let's give him some kind of tights. I don't know. Make him like one of the Lost Boys from Hook, right? Right, there we go. Right, let's give him some boots. Right, so when I talk about anatomy, I say that it is a must to learn because I can create any shape I want. I can create a shape like this, right? Create a shape like this, right? And then on that shape, I can look, right? I can find anatomy in there, right? I can find anatomy in that shape, right? I can find anatomy in the shape, right? Like that. So, and even from that, I can then go on to this kind of thing, and I don't have to be so specific, right? Although specific is gonna help you be able to do what I'm doing right now, right? I can use the whole block thing, right? Which is kind of like what some people like to rely on, right? And put some, probably gonna be more like that, right? And I can just go in here and keep using that anatomy to help me, right? That's where the thoracolumbar fascia is. That's where musculature, trapezius, will help me, right? Let's get that angle perspective going there like that, right? So a little bit of perspective comes into play to help me make this work even better, right? So this, what you're seeing me doing right here, is an extremely useful. See, now I'm going to kind of show you something else, right? Just like I did with the dog, right? I will then use that anatomy thing to then play with kind of cubist principles that are gonna really kind of give me nice streamlined kind of shapes, right? Gonna really kind of give me strong poses. Right, see here, I'm in a bit of a thing, so I want to kind of say his foot should be here, right? But then his calf muscle will be here. But then that doesn't really help that. So I want to put his foot here. Right. And I'm going to cheat it. Right. I'm going to cheat it. Not necessarily cheating it. This is where line drawing exposes things that a painter would use to make it work. Right? So with light and shade. So you got to get comfortable with things looking odd as well, right? As you're working in line. Right? So anatomy is the key to strong drawing, no matter whatever kind of drawing you're doing. By lines of motion, I mean where the joints go in the animation. I'm loving this. I'm glad you're loving it, Charlie. When I mess up, you guys still love it. Awesome. Because that dog to me was a bit of a mess up. But in a way, I'm glad that I messed up, because it's one of the first times that things haven't gone to plan on a stream. I've even animated the beast turning its head and all that easy shit. It's not shit, but it was easy for me to animate something on model turning its head. But when I had a little play with the quadruped, it didn't turn out the way I wanted to do. But I'm glad that it didn't, because it sets an example that you should experiment and have fun with the things that you're learning. And by getting it wrong, you're actually learning more, because we're not being precious about it. We're scribbling and learning, right? We're scribbling and playing. I'm well, thank you for asking. I'm doing well too. He's a good guy. Awesome. The pelvis and the spine, yeah, and that's a good place to start with drawing. I spent 3 years studying morphology. It's actually useful, and my art teacher is a jerk. Oh yeah, that's often the case, sadly. That pose is me after being called pathetic when I spent 4 years learning the things I need to draw. Listen, people under the sun will call you everything. I'm being called all kinds of names by people who are probably Gen Z and who didn't grow up when I did, and who've probably never been to an art gallery before. Yes, I'm animating a sexy female bear, but they think that it's a cardinal sin, and they're calling me a crime to women, and they're afraid to let me near their female relatives, be them, and all kinds of funny comments that I'm receiving just because I'm animating a gorgeous female character, and she has the female form, and they object to that. So why I'm saying that is whether people call you pathetic or any kind of other name, or somebody, one of the comments was something like, your mother, they're sorry for my mother for producing such a waste of space on this earth. So for me, it just smacks of insecurity of their own beliefs, but I'm not getting into who's right and who's wrong. As artists, you must have thick skin, and not just thick skin. These are all words. Now, if I write word, right? If I write word and I put S in front of it, it becomes a sword, and a sword can cut you, right? But only if you allow it, right? Only if you allow it. Only if you accept it. You see, the only thing that makes it something is your mind, right? The mind thinking it's real, right? Everything is and isn't at the same time, right? It is and isn't. Just like in that film, The Matrix, there is no spoon, right? What is a spoon? You've been programmed to say spoon when you look at this shape, and all kinds of coding tells you what it does, right? So if somebody calls you pathetic, right? If somebody calls you pathetic, it only means something if you really accept it. And I mean, it's like a dog barking at you. Like if it's not your dog, you'll just walk on by. If it's your own dog, you might be concerned there's something wrong, or you whatever. So don't just don't really take these comments as to anything, right? So I'm going to return to thank you so much. Thank you. It was nothing to do with my looks. It was more to do with me drawing Gracie Goodbear in a Wonder Woman costume flying around, and her knickers were showing, and that objected to some, caused an outrage. Right, so we're going to return to analyzing this. Now, this seems to be on ones, because as I frame by frame, it's moving strangely slow and choppy. So I don't understand why that's the case, because it's going just one frame at a time. So I think either your exporting thing has come out strange, eccentrics, or I'm going to just talk about timing. So either way, because I thought it was choppy because you just shot the keys and it needed in betweens. But we're going to talk. I'm going to go from pose to pose here. So let's quickly find your other contact pose, right? Let's find your other contact pose. Really nice poses, by the way, eccentrics. I'm not sure if this is actually based on the walk in the film, because I do remember this kind of motion. I absolutely love Rattigan. I think he's one of Glen Keane's best characters. It's one of my favorites, actually. I memorized the whole song when I was 14 years old or something like that. So I'm gonna keep with this kind of big flowing shape thing, but just change it slightly. Now I'm gonna emphasize how I feel your timing could possibly go, right? So what I really like is we're gonna look at these points here like that. I don't think I did the waist on this side. Let's go back. Right, yeah, the waist should come up like that. Let's keep that right. This is chest. So I got this line to show you the continuation through there like that. But really the chest is going to be more like that, right? That's the center line, comes down. Right? Very nice flowing poses, right? So let me now look at your, let's see. Let's now look at your I'm going to look at your passing position. So you've got it completely. So I'm going to first take this. And of course, if anyone else has any questions, now's your chance to ask them while I'm demoing this, right? So we've got him on the tiptoes, which is fascinating. I know you love your cartoons, eccentrics. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to really, really like play with the shapes, right? Because that's what a character like Rattigan does. And I want you to really watch your anatomy on your feet, eccentric. So while I'm doing these, So everything I was talking about before in the previous, about the shapes and the anatomy, we still want him to have knees in the right place and on his tiptoes and things to be kind of working, right? So I'm gonna have, like, I love this. I love the posing here. And you've drawn him on model very, very well. So you're giving me an excellent reference to quickly kind of get these poses in fast, so I can get my point across to you. Again, though, I may have egg on my face because you may have actually referenced this from the movie. Because I do the kind of the way you've got him walking is purely to character. So well done on that. I'm just a little bit. I just find the timing a little bit off. So I'm going to time it the way I think would help you understand a little bit about weight and dynamics to kind of, and then also notice how everything's kind of like pushing up, like from this in the pose. So we got this here. We want to really push that. So I'm going to do the other pass position now. Right, so we're going to do the other one. Noodle characters. That's something that I'm not too keen on, but I would say I would focus more on rubber hose animation from the I don't like the word noodle. I would say rubber hose. They would still have anatomy, right? So what you're seeing me doing here, you could call it a noodle character, right? But I'm kind of still thinking about anatomy because I'm not putting in. I'm using her reference, which has got anatomy, but I'm doing it like this so we can see it flowing, right? So it's the same deal. You want it to look good. A lot of those noodle characters that are popular, the Cartoon Network. I'm sorry if I come across as a little bit condescending, but they're not really animated very well by people who particularly know how to animate. So I would suggest you looking at a dog like Pluto, because that's kind of like a very sausage kind of design, or early Goofy, and those guys move the way, like in a very appealing, well animated way. A lot of those noodle things is just like animated by people who just learn how to stay in a pose and then grow and shrink and snap quickly into another pose. So there's no real animation going on there, which is why AI can kind of like, it's kind of killing off all that stuff, and those people have got no place to go, nowhere to hide, nowhere to run, really. So again, apologies if that sounds a little harsh and condescending, but my brand is Real Animator Training. I've got to keep it real with what it is that we're doing. So this one comes here like this, and this one is gonna be this leg. So then here I'm looking at your reference, but then I'm gonna change this up slightly. So I'm going to put a bit, now look how I'm going to put a bit of a butt here and work into the spine, right? I'll work into the spine like that. There we go. This thing like a Picasso, I'm going to kind of hide that in there like that, right? So you see how anatomy is even kind of helping with this, right? So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm gonna do this. There we go. All right, and this is gonna be like this. So I'm deliberately kind of avoiding the anatomical things to kind of show you how you can perhaps do your noodle thing even more. So we're answering multiple questions in one go. Right. So now this is where the scapula is going to be. So I don't want my elbow to go any lower than that. And I'm going to keep my hand along this line here like this, right? It's going to keep it nice. And when we talk about flowing animation, it's not because it's fluid. It's because the animation is... Now, I'm not going to have that. I'm going to think about that. Don't want that to... He's a little bit off balance there, right, with that arm. Right. So if I think about this, is gonna maybe keep him on balance. Right. Gonna bust out chest a bit. We want our character to be kind of balancing, right? Right, so those are our extreme positions, right? So we've got bump, 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 right? Okay, we want to have this here and this here. I'm afraid your questions, you're just throwing them at me. I can't get them all down. And again, if you're going to ask me, I don't know what this character is, but if you're going to ask me questions about probably modern cutout software-based animation, I'm not really going to be able to talk much about that because it is so poorly animated and so basic that it's kind of against the things that I do and the things that I teach, because I teach more what I call real animation. So I'm just assuming, because you said noodle, so that kind of stuff is so easy to do that I actually think a 7-year-old within 2 weeks would probably be competent at animating on a show like Adventure Time. Seriously, I'm not joking. They've just memorized such easy little tricks, like a few frames backwards, a little bit of deformation on the squash, and then pop, and then a big frame, and then a shrink into a little settle other pose. And all the poses are given to them by the things before. So it's really, really simple, simple sort of stuff. Compared to the kind of things that I'm explaining here. Now we're going to do the down poses. So I'm going to look out for your down poses, right? So there isn't really any down pose. So I'm going to create a down pose. One of the things that I see you've done here is you've missed a trick to do a really good arc. So let's make this big. So, I want you to watch the arc of the hand, and you're kind of like floating the leg up, right? So it's just coming up in almost a straight line, right? Like that. But I think, even though he's light on his feet, I think there has to be a nice shift in weight, because that's where we're getting this odd growth in the leg here, the rear leg. So you've missed a down pose, right? You've missed a down pose. So let's just move that there. So I'm going to create a down pose. So I'm going to create a down pose. So originally you're arcing like this. We don't want to arc like this, right? I want to arc. Your arc is like this, right? You just come up and you arc there like that. I'm going to arc like this. So from here to here, right? I'm going to keep him on his tiptoes, right? Like a quadruped. Right. But I'm gonna really start thinking about like deforming this, and so I'm gonna take this shape here, right? And I'm gonna drag that foot. Right? So we're gonna keep that foot like kind of dragging through. So the knee would be here like this, right? And we're gonna like bust that chest out. Now I'm gonna see your timing on that. Okay, that was your down. So you was kind of doing that. You was kind of doing that. So we're gonna bust that chest out like that. But his head is not going to arc up this way. His head is gonna arc this way, right? So we're gonna keep his head there, right? That's what's gonna give it the weight and the turn. Can we now see the rotation that's happening, right? From the midpoint, right? Which your work kind of misses. It's very flat in that regard, right? Which is extremely important, which is what we cover in the basic walk cycle of the training library, right? Now we're going to drag that wrist. All right. Gonna drag that wrist as you have done. So I'm looking at your poses, but I'm just making sure that the essential weight element is added in there, right? And then again, this one. Comes here like this. I'm gonna put a bit of foreshortening in there, right? I'm gonna drag that, put a bit of foreshortening in there. Like that. So we have something like this, right? Let's just observe this. This could do with a bit more work. This is better. So we feel the rise. This is what's increasing that. Really trail that. That's better. Okay, so we have this, right? So we're in the pass position, right? So now I'm gonna want to do it on the other side, right? The other down. So here you see, I want you to watch your head, right? I want you to watch the head as well, your arc of the head, right? It just goes up in a linear. All your arcs are very samey. The head, the arm, the leg, which is why we're growing in volume on that leg. It's just trailing. It's just going all in the same arc, right? We want to change that, right? So I'm going to find your down position here, right? Which is here like this. What I like is the delay in the head. Well done. The use of layers, and then sometimes I think I'm overcomplicating. Any thoughts about pros and cons? Just don't use layers. Just use as few layers as possible, especially when you're animating. Just draw over your rough. You'll improve your drawing, right? Don't produce work to show off. Produce work to show yourself, to get better, right? To do that. So again, you've kind of done the same thing, but what we want to do is the same principle, right? I'm going to look at this and I'm going to think about, okay, we want to keep him on his tiptoes here, right? All right, like that. And we're going to drag that foot. All right, like this. Now, I'm gonna think about the anatomy of the buttocks, right? Which is gonna be this one here. Which is this. So I really want to get this right. We don't want to rush the legs, right? So I'm going to show you, who asked me about layers. You can either use a putty eraser, you like get an eraser with a bad with a opacity if you're using software, or use a putty eraser, right? Or you can, now I want to, again, the head is going to be, the head is going like this, right? So I want it to circle again, right? I want it to circle again like this, right? It's a circular motion, right? So I want to kind of think about that shape filling in, right? That's the shape that we want to. Now I've got to think about his spine. So if you're using software, you're probably going to want to, we're going to drag this hand. Look how I'm using this thing to make it all work, right? You're probably going to want to use a opacity eraser or a change color, like what I do, but not every software allows you to change color the way I change color, right? So use the opacity eraser, right? That's what I'm saying, right? So now we've got this, right? Not, yeah, so that's what your arm is doing, but then maybe for me, I'm going to change that. So this is what I would do, right? Using this software, I'm just going to change the color, right? If you can't change the color, then you have to basically erase it down. If you're using a vector, then I would erase it like this, right? I'd get a fat eraser there, right? And I would use it very sparingly like this, right? Or you can add another layer if you want, but I strongly recommend you do not add layers. You know, I would just completely like, just, you know, do that, right? Don't be precious about it, right? You don't need to, we're going to draw over it again, right? And then if you want to clean it up with another layer, go and clean it up with another layer, right? So I would, I'm going to do that because I want to keep my workflow going. I would do that basically, right? So now what I'm going to do is just change up, just make sure that these things are kind of working for me, right? Right. So we're going to get these shapes in there like that. Possibly. See how I just erase, right? Get better at drawing. Don't be so precious about your drawings, right? It might hurt because the drawing may not come as easy to you, but it's counterproductive by holding on to the drawings that you think are it's counterproductive by holding on to drawings and being precious about them. The sooner you quit being precious about your drawings, the better at drawing you'll get, because you'll kind of like, oh well, I fucked another one up. Time to do it again, right? You're not really saving time, by being precious about them. Get them wrong, screw them up, do whatever. Right, so Ding McHugh has gone. I'll see you later, pal. Right. Okay, so I've kind of changed the arc to match that, right? So at the moment, we've got something like this. So just by changing the arc, I'm also changing the timing, right? So we've got something like this, right? Excuse me. But I'm going to throw in the ups as well, right? I'm going to throw in the ups. So I'm going to find your ups. Again, your arcing is very linear here. So your up is this, right? Again, your head is shrinking down while we're in the up. I know you're trying to change perspective to make it look like he's going in and out of perspective. But we're not really getting that because, again, yes, you've got a clean arc. But I feel you're kind of like, it's the foot plane and the body plane and the arm plane are kind of not really helping the perspective in that regard, and it's affecting the speed and the weight of the walk. So we're going to do that. See how by keeping it down here, we're going to create like a motion to allow it to do that kind of arc into the background now, right? So we need to keep the up going. So let's find an interesting arc here. So this is real old school, like Richard Williams kind of like up stuff, right? So we're going to have this leg completely stretched here like that. Possibly here. Like that. I want to keep it a little bit linear because it's a cycle, right? So I'm gonna push this even more, right? Let's push it even more, right? Okay. Therefore, if we pushed it even more, we're moving the belt out, up more like this. So then we have the leg. We never want to kind of. We don't want the leg to lose its anatomy, even if it's like our friend calls a noodle, right? In the chat. Kira, a killjoy. Welcome back, by the way. I remember you from the previous live stream. So now this head, I'm going to slow out, right? Because we're still in the up, and we're still going to go this way, but we're going to slow out of it, right? Which is what you kind of missed, which is what didn't give your walk any weight, right? Even if we're wanting a light, dancy, prancy walk, we want it to have weight, right? I'm going to do another pass on this walk because I want to get more anatomy in the spine, but I'm kind of just working things out here at the moment, right? Because I want to get a nicer shape, right? Because hopefully this will help you, eccentrics, with your shape. I know you love cartoon shapes, so by seeing me drawing this character in a very simplified shape form, in a very flowing way, you may improve your drawing in that regard. Now, I'm not happy with the pose. The things are in the right place, but I want to get the flowing. I want to get the flow better. So I'm going to turn off the light box. And I'm going to take this with the head. And I'm going to do the spine like this. I'm going to look at that. Right? I may have it cleaner like that. Right? That's better. That's what we want, right? Clean flowing shape. this. Now I need to look at this, have this chest up here like this, right? Want to really, really get those nice. This is when you put the character on top of these shapes, then magic will happen, right? On these, so you put your model, you put your more nuanced drawing, your more details, but on these flowing shapes, then you're gonna have a animation and drawing that sings, right? Right, so we'll have the head like this. So the head's gone behind him now. Now we can really feel that it's the old bouncing ball, right? And the swinging pendulum, which is what you learn in the basics archive of the Real Animator Training Library, right? So here we are, right? That's our up pose, right? Our up pose. Now we're going to do the up pose on the other side. So again, you've probably done the same thing in the arcing. Bump, 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 bump. So here's the up pose here, and you're angling the head down. And here, because you're angling the head down towards us and it's not away from us, you kind of gone on a half. See here, it's like really like you kind of like really big kind of slowing into the end position, which isn't really, and here you're not slowing into the end position, right? Well, you may have actually, but you've kind of like traced it from the other side, which is not really a kind of, not what I would recommend, to be honest with you. I know some people teach it like that, but I advise strongly against doing that. Want it organic and fresh. Right, so we're going to do the same thing on this side. So I'm going to feel out again the danger of in-betweening. I want to get the body, like I'm going to put this halfway through on tiptoes. But then we're going to have the up. I like what you've done with the up here, with this curling leg. So I'm looking at your reference, but then I'm going to have to adjust it. So I'm going to really save that thin upper chest thing, right, going here. And then we're going to have some indication of his chest coming through on this side. I like the hands that you've done. Well done. We're going to bring that like this. Interesting hand position, which I really, really like, which is what makes me think you must have referenced this in some way, shape, or form, because the hand position is very, very nice, holding that bottom finger and all that. No, you're not. It's actually, I got that wrong, but still it's a nice hand position. Then we're going to have the head slowing out, and the head is going to kind of pop back in on this side, right? So we want to slow out at the top, right? Really, you want that kind of light walk. You really want to have the up. He's walking on air. I remember the owl in Bambi, right? So we've got this, right? Just good. I'm gonna get my shapes going here, right? Got this here like this. Right, like that. This here. Get these shapes. Okay, that looks good to me. Right, so let's go and make these shapes just a little bit more presentable, right? right? And we're going to introduce the line on the other side, right? There, like that. That's where the head is going to come through. Right? Huh? I'm just going to put the arm like that. Okay. Right, so this is without any in-betweens, but I'm going to see how many frames your walk is. And I'm going to try to put in the time. So here we'll be able to see the, let me just copy, edit, copy panels, edit, paste panels, edit, paste panels, edit, paste panels. All right, that's enough to see the kind of like, here we've got like the same action. Now, why isn't it coming? I have to wait for it to register, right? So here we've got the same. It's not letting me scrub it, which is very frustrating. We've got the same action. Oh, come on. This is just a few simple frames. Perhaps all this stuff is making it slow down, right? So we've got the same action happening here. I'm going to throw in some in-betweens. I might have to create a new file because just even dragging this is causing my machine to slow down. And that's not good. Right. Okay, well that kind of gives you an idea. So there's the flowing walk. But now I'm going to go with your timing, right? So, how many frames did you use? 1, 2, 3, 4 frames to get to the pass position. So one in between that one in between that one. You've in betweened it very, very linearly, right? But even if we in between it linearly, right? We will get that same effect. I'll get the weight because I've got the slow in and slow out points that I want. So let's do that, right? So let's just undo all that, right? And let's go and start in-betweening this very quickly. So let's just do the way you've in-betweened it. Shall I put in a tail? Nah, I can't be bothered. Let's just talk about the walk. Right. So let's just put in one in between here. So you're kind of halving the in-betweens, right? But even if I half the in-betweens, because of my one simple thing, eccentrics, of changing the arcing on the walk, we're going to get more of a slow in and slow out and more of a weight effect, right? So it's like this. It's not going to take long to in between because of the way I've drawn this in, actually. So that's one. Now we're going to in between here and here. So this is, you see now there's bigger movements, bigger jumps because I've got a different arc to what you had, right? So we're going to get a no joints. I want this to be pure rubber hose, or as my friend Kira, is it Kira, wants to call it noodle, right? So you can see how to animate noodle this way. That way we can both enjoy the style, because I really am not a fan of the whole Cartoon Network style, the modern Cartoon Network style. There was hardly an animator left in the building. So we're going to have this middle here. Now we're going to create we want to arc this way. So I'm not going to put my hand here, right? I'm going to arc it so we're going to get a nicer sense of flow, right, in the movements, right? I'm going to drag that hand, right? So we're slowing out more of that hand, getting a nicer sense of flow in that arm movement. This one is gets a hand here like this, right? So we've got bang, bam, okay. Bam, 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 right? Now one between here and here, right? So here we're gonna have this slow down, right? Because it's closer, right? This has been a great stream, actually. I've really enjoyed this stream. No real flashy drawings were done on this stream, but all pure animation theory and animation gold, you know. Thank you to Eccentrics, and thank you to Charlene. Thank you to Kira, and is it Nintendude, for asking such great questions. Gonna have this here like that. This other arm I will not put into shot. Now this foot is gonna arc like this. Bum, 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 bum. One this way. So now we're gonna come down a little bit faster, right? Like that. I like the loose rubber hose-like limbs you went for, AMB. It helps focus on the gesture before the details later. My pleasure, Patch and Charlene. Yes, because as I mentioned earlier, I think Kira asked the question. Is it Kira? Yeah, Kira A. Killjoy. About the anatomy is in everything, but the whole. Now I may wanna do something with this. We may want to bring the foot down, but we don't want to, like a lot of people. Like one of the things that actually has made me improve my drawing immensely in terms of my animation and my character design, even probably when I left the industry and I started retraining myself in certain things, was now I'm gonna think about this hand coming this way, right? The hand is coming this way, so I'm gonna have to change that arc like this. Right. I'm gonna have to bring it like that. I've had to learn to to use anatomy, but not as a crutch. And I find that actually by kind of like I've got to be careful how I say this. Now, I'm usually very fast with my talk, but I don't want to say the wrong thing. I haven't kind of let up on anatomy, but sometimes exaggerating, the law of exaggeration, that's the word I'm looking for. Exaggerating the anatomy and knowing when to kind of pull away from it, and then reintroducing little elements of it into there to kind of put back into it has helped me become a much better cartoon artist. And it's and it improves the animation as well, because when you're so rigid with the anatomy, now we're going to add a frame here. When you're so rigid with the anatomy, it sometimes makes the drawing unappealing. It's like almost like having a CG. It depends what kind of drawing you're doing. If you're kind of doing a more fine artsy drawing, then no, but please, a fine artsy anatomical drawing, not like abstract, then please do be more anatomical, like show off. You must. But if you're kind of doing expressive, exaggerated stuff, you want to kind of cheat it and push it a bit, but knowingly, knowingly, not in a naive way. So I still have all the anatomy in there, which is kind of what I showed you earlier. But now I don't like, for example, everybody's going mad over the internet over this, right? So if we say here's the perspective planes, right, and of the head, right, and we're going to put our sphere in there, and we're going to say, okay, here's the frontal bone, right, come here, the zygomatic bone comes here, right, which is all the nasal bones come here, right, the maxillary bone comes here, right, the zygomatic bone will come down. Like everybody's kind of trending over this, like this easy thing of how to draw an up angle, right? 4 incisors, 2 canines, 2 premolars, 3 molars, right? It comes on the other side, right? So now, if I'm going to do a realistic drawing, then the anatomy is my friend, right? Because then I've got the mentalis. All right. And it would be this way, right? Depending on the planes of the perspective. Depending on the perspective, some would have it like this, right? Not me, right? Because the vanishing point would probably be here, like this, right? If we were being exact, right? And now I'm talking about, like, again, exactly what. So this stuff can, and then your hyoid bone, right? So what you then have is the mylohyoid here, right? Then you have the thyrohyoid, the omohyoid, right? The styloid, thyrostyloid. You also have the trapezius coming here, then the sternocleidomastoid, right? Coming here like this. So, and then you have the planes of the face, right? Right. And depending on your perspective, right, you got the alar cartilage. So again, yes, I'm just making this up, but it's not particular. So here, the cheekbone coming here like this will affect the shape of the eye. And then you'll have the brow shape. So then the ear, right? So he hasn't really got a design. I'm just kind of like the earlobe, the helix, temple, right? Then you can go and throw in hairstyle, right? Now, if I wanted to be super anatomical, that would be fantastic, right? But here's the thing. When I'm trying to work out an up angle for this gal, as she's doing her head banging, right? None of that works. You see, but inside here, I've still kind of had to do that, right? I've still kind of had to have that line up to her mouth, right? Where her eyes are, right? So you can see it's all in there, right? But then she's got these big chubby cheeks. So you kind of lose it with this shape here. You lose all of that anatomy, but it still has to be in there to make this drawing work. Because believe me, drawing an up angle of a character like that is an extremely difficult thing to do, in my opinion, when you have so much knowledge on anatomy, because you're trying so hard. Let's see how that's going. Yeah, you're trying so hard to make it something, but you're putting too much information and killing the appeal of the drawing. So knowing how to put it in there and knowing when to draw, when to eliminate it that's another part of the artist's journey. Once you have a ton of knowledge, it's like not using that knowledge as a crutch. It's like saying, okay, now my drawing might look so naive, and people might see that drawing and go, ooh, that doesn't look like it's anatomically correct. Well, big deal. Does the drawing work? Does it look better than when you put it with the ugly over-referenced anatomy? Yes. So you have to discard it, but at the same time, make sure that it adds up. Now this here I'm going to put halfway, like that kind of shape. So while the drawing might seem like it's just a round circle and I've kind of guessed where the face is, it's balancing those facial features within those simple shapes that make the drawing appealing, and knowing where to place, like you've got those videos of Picasso thinking for ages where to make a random stroke. In a way, yes, you really have to kind of put those things in the correct place. Otherwise, the shapes are not going to harmonize and your drawing is going to lack appeal. It's going to lack appeal. Right, so this is interesting. I can't grow and shrink this, so I've got to put the elbow here. Put the elbow here like this. That's good. Let's get rid of that so we can see the flowing shape. That's good. See again here, right? This foreshortening, if we do that, it's the right size, right? And just by putting a bit of line here and a little thing here, we get something that works, right? So the anatomy is very much in there. In good animation drawing, there's always strong anatomy, even in things that don't look like there is. It's very, very important. Very, very important. Which is why I've got Cameron working so hard on his anatomy, right? Because however things might be looking, and he's like, oh, well, I want to draw something nice, and these scribbly, unappealing kind of sketches, whatever I want to draw. One day he's going to draw his Wizzy character or his thing, and it's all going to flow and fall into place. It's also worth, Cameron, you doing drawings like this. Now, don't just copy my thing off the screen, right? Do take some drawings and really try to simplify them into these streamlined shapes and see what you get. How are we doing for time on the stream, by the way? 2 hours 35. Wow. Let's see what's going on in the chat. That's really interesting. Never considered how the cartoonier head can be more challenging at times. The angle is part of the head turn lesson. Okay. Animation reminds me of the genie's dance from Never Had a Friend Like Me. Yeah, it does kind of in a way. Yeah, I'm kind of drawing from my days of animating the genie, which I did. Not for Disney, for a company that was doing something for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, but in the end, Disney ended up doing that with Mr. Goldberg, and rightly so. That's his character, not mine. But I learned a lot from it, and I showed my test to Eric Goldberg, and he approved of it, which was a life-changing moment for me as a young man looking for validation. Okay, so we've got this. Now, one more frame. So Elena, hopefully you will see this stream. I have basically, now I'm going to put that, I'm going to come down on 2/3 just on that to get the toe, right? I'm not going to float that toe in the air, right? We're going to get the step proper. Everything else will be a half, right? So Elena, I've pretty much done everything you've done. Even kind of just done very linear, one in between through, right? Between the downs, the pass, and the up and the contact, right? Although this could do with some more in betweens actually, but let's just have the hand there. That's where I'm wanting to put it. So I've pretty much done exactly what you have done, but done something a little bit different. I've pushed the slow in and slow outs and changed the arc. Change the arcing of the head and change the arcing of the hips, right? Which is gonna make a huge difference to the whole flow of the piece. So this goes back to the law of arcing, timing, slowing in and slowing out. So there we have our flowing steps there like that. Now, hopefully, I'm going to copy these, and I'm going to close it down if it struggles. Edit based panels. Edit based panels. Right. And restart it. There we are. Wonderful. So we can see that we can really see the shift in perspective of the head swinging from one side to the other more, and the weight of the steps, right? And we still feel that he's on tiptoes, right? He's not not on tiptoes. One step is a little heavier than the other, but I kind of like the contrast there, right? It's a little bit of a quick hand flip back. I would probably add in one more frame on the last steps, like between hair and hair, but then that might cause the cycle to have problems. So perhaps change the delay of the arm coming back a little. But for now, so if I would revise this, right, not going to do it here. This arm coming back, I would not have the delay on the up so close, right? I would maybe have it already down there, right? Little bit of a whip down there like that. But we've got a nice, more flowing, balanced piece of animation. So if we once again look at yours, which was wonderful, by the way, well done, but hopefully I've been able to shed some light onto it. We can see that you're kind of growing and shrinking in the arms, and there's not enough perspective on the torso and the head. We see, yes, his head is coming and moving in the background because of the drawing is giving us that, but there isn't enough of it, and his leg position is awkward in places, causing it to kind of not flow so nicely. Again, I'm not sure why. This is on ones as I'm going up, and I'm going up one frame at a time. I'm not sure why the movement is coming choppy. It should not be coming choppy. So it doesn't matter, Elena, because it's moving like this. It's easier for me to analyze it. But wonderful work, very appealing. You really captured the character. Hopefully my change of the arc of the head to do this, right? Watch the head, see it goes straight, not completely straight, but kind of up like that, right? Then we go up like this, right? And then we go back, right? The old figure of eight thing. And we loop the loop, right? And we loop and we come back down again. Right? So that arc there, also the body, right? As we go into the down position, we don't immediately start moving up, but we don't go down either. We keep our character straight to keep him on that light tiptoe thing and trail that leg, right? So everything else is a pretty similar arc there, like that, what you have on the arms. Wonderful, lots of fun doing that. Right, I'm going to see if you have any more questions for me in the chat. What are some ways that I can teach myself animation? Learn and understand the 12 laws of animation. Some people call them the 12 principles. Understand them properly. Work on anatomy, figure drawing, perspective, the rules of animation. Work on these things more than having fun of drawing anime or Disney or Marvel or whatever you like to draw. That has to go on the back, and you have to focus on fundamentals. That's how you can teach yourself animation. And you can do it your own way. Or if you're dead serious, I'm going to mention it again. By the way, if you like what I'm doing, there's a donation link in the description. If you want to say thank you, and I've added some value, it's much appreciated. Or if you're serious, you can go to ambanimation.com and click Real Animator Training. This place is the most direct, no-nonsense way for you to master 2D hand-drawn animation without an overpriced degree course or specific software program, even if you don't have a lot of drawing experience or money. Quite frankly, I've had people from everywhere come to join this library. People who have worked for Disney have joined this library. People who have worked for Nickelodeon. People who have been to CalArts. People who have paid Don Bluth money to learn from him have also joined this library. So if you are interested, go to ambanimation.com, click on Join Now. By the way, if you've got any questions, you can ask them while I'm doing this. You have you can either get a bundle and save yourself a ton of money, or you can buy one archive at a time. They're divided into two sections. You've got training archives, powerful step-by-step instruction for you to basically learn from me by watching everything I do in an over-the-shoulder manner. Or you can do the edutainment archives, which is things like my latest one is animating a scene from start to finish. So you basically learn how to animate a scene like this. This is the animation that I do. I didn't color it on stream, but I tell you about color in the stream. You watch me do the whole thing from start to finish over 14 videos explaining to you how to do animation like that. But this is more for what I call edutainment. Similarly, we have how to animate your own film, right? So we have got 56 parts where you watch me animate an entire film over 56 live streams, a 2-minute film. That time of the year is coming anyway, and this is the quality of the animation that's done. So these are really fantastic seminars that you can watch me do in the edutainment section, or you can learn step by step the fundamentals. We talked about quadrupeds earlier in basics. In advanced animation, you learn how to turn characters around. We have the secret science of shape simplification. So even something like a peacock run, we simplify into shapes. So you learn how to do hardcore turnarounds of characters like this. You also learn how to do it with facial features, characters with Disney-ish facial features like this. So you learn how to do things like that. You also learn, we were talking about quadrupeds, you learn how to do a more cartoony quadruped once you've learned the basics, and you go through all those various trots, steps, canters, runs and all that, so you can see it happening here. He's a little bit garbled at the moment, so it does fix itself. There you go. So you learn how to do something like that, and you learn basic shape simplification, which is kind of like where it all starts and how to put something on model. So this is the advanced archive of the training library, all in a step-by-step manner. So if you're serious about learning hand-drawn animation, if you're tired of constantly following bad advice, if you're frustrated, or if you've tried all the other courses and realized they're nothing but dopamine fixes that kind of play to your desire to draw fun characters, but you never really get real lasting results, then it's time to quit playing around and become the real deal and join the Real Animator Training Library, because this is the place that focuses on real transformation and real results by forcing you to do things that you don't want to do and do things that you've never done before. And the end result is you watching and wonder as the work unfolding before you is actually by your own hand, and you start to impress yourself with your own abilities and realize that you could actually do it all along. So you want that? Then join the Real Animator Training Library. Thank you very much. All right, now, after doing all that talk, we are now going to look if there is indeed any more questions. If not, then I'll be on my way. What are some ways I can self-teach? Could you examine a character called Spinal or Fizzaroli because they have very unique animation style that I intend to learn, but I'm unsure how. Okay, now I've got the time at the end of the stream. Let's have a look at this thing for my friend Kira. So what is it? I've got to kind of look at the names because I've never heard of these characters. How do I spinal animation? Okay, spinal character. Oh, you mean spine? Is it spinal from? That can't be from Killer Instinct. It can't be. I don't think you're talking about Killer Instinct. That's not a noodle character. That's a CGI, very anatomical character. Fizzaroli. 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 Okay, this is the Has-Been Hotel thing. It's very straightforward. It's just appealing shapes. So let's just take a pose like this. I did tell myself I'll never draw this character, but never mind. Let's do it. I'm not going to draw it. I'll just draw the construction, right? There. That'll. There we go. Okay, so let's very quickly do your character for you to kind of show you this is exactly the same thing that I've been doing with this, right? So I'm just going to take one pose of this character here, right? So we've got this body hair like this, right? And we've got the arms hair like this, right? And the hands are like this. And they've kind of joined two hands either side like this, right? Right? So we've got that. So basically they've got these kind of points, but they're literally like, it's almost like I don't know if this is a hand-drawn thing or it looks like a rigged thing to me. So the rigged bones are just like lines, simple lines, right? And then you've got a shape here like this, and then out of that shape you're fitting these things, and then you're putting another little shape in there like that, right? It reminds me of a game on the Sega Saturn called Nights into Dreams, right? Very much reminds me of that. Right, so I'm just going to make up my own animation from that with this, right? So I'm going to animate backwards. So I'm going to change. So all I'm going to do is change the spine, right? Change the spine shape, right? And I'm going to have something like this, right? So let's copy this, edit, cut. Let's edit, paste, right? Right. So we're going to have a bean shape here like this, right? We're going to have a cup shape here like this. And I'm just going to animate it like this first, so you see, right? So now I'm going to reverse on this curve, right? I'm going to have noodles here like this, right? Now I'm going to kind of cross those arms, right? I'm going to drag that head, right? This typical easy kind of animation, right? Then we're going to go pop like this up here, right? I'm going to keep that head dragged, right? Gonna I'm gonna have something like this. I'm gonna have an X shape here like this, right? Bum, 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 right? Then we're gonna come out. Right? Like that. And we're gonna land with the bounce. Right. A bit of squash and stretch on the head. Right. I'm gonna put an extra bounce on that character there like that. Right. There like that. All it is simple shapes, right? So I've just done a straight ahead thing like this, right? I've just done a straight ahead thing like this. Now I'm going to go and make something out of it, right? Just simple lines and shapes, the same way I did with that. So I'm just going to do that. Going to do that. Doesn't matter if I move it a little bit, it's all going to change anyway. How am I doing for time? Let's bust this out in record time. We are 2 hours 56 in here. So I hope. Have you watched Monkey Wrench? No. I like Fleischer's animation. Is Kira still online? Are you still online, Kira? I hope I didn't upset you by saying that I didn't really like this stuff. But then, you know, it doesn't matter if people like the stuff that, like, I mean, I'm a huge fan of David Bowie, right? And David Bowie hates Disney and Mickey Mouse, right? But he wouldn't be David Bowie if he liked the things I liked, right? So let's and he wouldn't be doing the work that I love so much if he liked the things I like. So it's important to, if I did upset you, it wasn't my intention, and I'm trying to help you by animating your character here anyway, right? So let's put some of those details in, right? Let's have this head here, right? Now it would have this kind of thing on its head, but I'm not going to include that jester hat because it's going to kind of you're going to kind of lose the whole point of this character, right? The thing that I'm trying to teach, right? We can put it on there actually. Let's just do that. Let's make it very graphic, right? So this will be kind of like where the head is. Then this will be the collar, right? These will be the arms, right? Then the star will be there like that. We'll have that there like that, right? Okay, that'll do, right? So the head's kind of behind that, right? So then we're gonna have it come up. So I'm going to keep that collar there like that. The collar will be on that part of the shape. There like that. You could actually start putting a little bit of construction in there, but I'm going to keep it super simple, right? For the shoulders. All right. I'll put the shoulders in there like that. The head will roughen. I don't really know what the design of this hat is, but we're just going to do that. All right. And the arms are going to be that. Okay, that'll do. Let's just put that in. Right, so we're playing with a lot of the laws here, like squash and stretch. Right. And we're adding shapes onto that basic. See, this where the shoulder construction things are like that. We're adding shapes onto there, and we can make our angles by indicating, you know, the curvature of certain things like that. If I really wanted to play with this, I would have these things this way, right? Then I would have them squashing and stretching around this way, like this, right? So it would be like that, right? Bum, bum, bum. Right, so now we're going to have a change up. So this is where, you know, you could add something like that onto there for the chest, right? Have a middle line, have this thing here like this. The head would be here like this. Not quite sure. It's going to kind of block what my arms are doing, this thing on the hat, right? But we're going to have it anyway, right? I'll just delay the arms a bit. That's what we're going to do. We're going to delay the arms a bit. We're going to play with the perspective size of it, right? Just have these things will be out here like this. I'm keeping it rough. So then I'm going to want to change that to be like that, right? Then this arm, this hand I'm going to have on top, right? So I'm really scribbling on top of this because I'm having more fun now, right? I'm going to have something like this. All right. So let's do these hands first. So the hands, the character's got 3 fingers. The hands are just a fun shaped hands, right? I have something like that. There we go. That'll do. We don't want to. Actually, we want to drag that hand down. We don't see it. We don't see it. That's better. Like that. Better drawing. Right. I have that. We're gonna have this. This, of course, helps me introduce the head. Right. This be even bigger, actually. The model even bigger like this. So everything's sitting on these simple shapes. You can see I'm throwing in anatomy onto this one. And I'm trying to look for interesting silhouettes, right? Like that. We've got this, something like this, right? Now we're going to come up. I'm going to change my rough slightly. Just keep it there like that. Gonna have something more like that coming back on itself. That's it. That's what we want. The head. These things will be like this. Right. Things will be behind his head now. Right. I don't know what its mouth looks like open, so I'm gonna be boring and just have its mouth closed, but I would have it open its mouth. But I didn't bank on doing this, but I want to do this for Kira, who asked the question. Right, we're keeping it loose. Right. So again, I'm using these curls and keeping everything really exaggerating that big hand. This frame is wrong because I'm doing it straight ahead. So I would change this frame, but I'm not going to bother. It's kind of, I think you can kind of see what I'm doing anyway, right? All right, that'll do. So we want to keep things inside that. Just keep the hands simple. Not really looking at the model too much of the clothing, just putting enough to suggest. If I wanted to take it further and tie it down and put it on model, I'll look at the model more, right? I'm just scribbling out the basic. It's a fairly simplistic design. The little subtleties of the way they decide to make those shapes can be sorted out on the tie down phase. Okay, what I will look at is the face a little bit, all right, because we're bringing the face in. All right, it's just something like that with the nose in the middle. There you go, something like this. And this is now following this pattern, right? This. Bum, bum, bum. There we go. The more we slow into that, the better. Right, so now we're gonna bounce down. This is where we're gonna kind of hit the pose that I'm referring to, the one pose of the character that I can actually see. Not yet though. Not yet. Yeah. Why am I right clicking there, right? So Look how I'm just doing this, right? If you're a beginner, right, and you're poor with anatomy, look how I'm just making the shapes like noodle-like, right? I'm not really, I can throw in the anatomy if I want, but it's not really, in a way, yes, I am even putting anatomy in this, which is why it's a nice looking pose, even though it's really rough. I would open its mouth, but I'm not sure. I need to look at an image of it with its mouth open, but there's nothing available at the moment, so I'm just going to do that, right? So now these things will be like, I'm not sure what the back of its head looks like. I'm just going to do that, right? Just going to do that, right? Now I'll just tidy it up a little bit, right? So the way I'll tidy it up is what I'll try and do is then everything I want is going to be thinking about these shapes, right? So I'm not drawing it on model because I don't want to waste my time really doing that, because I'd rather explain to you about the things that really make the animation and the posing appealing, is how it all kind of fits in to these simple shapes. So Charlene, while you're drawing your really cute mice, right, think about how you can make them the drawings flow a little bit more by looking at this particular method, right? I can go in here and do all that, right? But doesn't, you know, just takes time away from what I'm trying to teach here, right? So let's then have this thing goes like this. It's all got its own kind of, this thing is a lot bigger, but I'm not focusing on the model yet, right? I can animate this and make it look amazing, and then go and put it on model, and it won't take that long. It's a very simple model, right? But I'm not going to be hanging around on stream for too much longer, right? So we now have this, right? So let's just take a quick look and see, right? What we have. We can see how we're turning that into the animation of the character. 2 more poses to do, and that'll be it. How are we doing? Is the stream all right? The stream health. You always draw the clothes after drawing the character. Yes, you don't have to, but I like to, because I like to get the basic shapes and the anatomy right. Okay, I'm gonna look at this. Let's keep that up here like that, and then it goes down again. Yeah. So I'm gonna kind of change the angle of this thing here, like this. I'm gonna put the head extra high, and I'm gonna play with the angle of that head, so we see more of the teeth, right? And this thing starts to fall. Right, so this thing I want to fall there, so I'm thinking about the arc like this, right? So I'm actually drawing it falling in the arc that I want it to draw in, right? Whereas this one will go like that, right? So that's another thing on follow through, overlap, and drag for you to all understand, right? That, It's not hard at all. It's shape simplification. So hopefully Kira didn't get upset and they're just quiet, because I hope you're learning from this. You want to learn how to animate characters like this. I hope you can see that it's just the simple shapes, right? Simple shapes, right? Even the hand, right? The hand is really appealing, but all it is just basically we're going to come off here. We're going to now create. I'm going to splay the hand a little bit, because then I'm going to bring it together on the last frame, like the way it is in the actual pose, right? So here you can start putting it on model. I could put it, I would put a bit of follow through on this thing, but I'm not sure how much these guys would do that, right? So it looks like boned and rigged, 2D boned rigged animation from the design. Not a bad design though. It reminds me of Sega Nights into Dreams. In a dream I was here, you were not far away. Right. So there we are. So here we are. That's fallen into place, right? I actually haven't really bothered with the bottom half of the character, which is all this, right? Because I just want to quickly make my point about this, right? Right, and now I'm going to hit that last pose, right, which is pretty much this pose here. So let's put that in. Right. I'll put that there, and I'll put that there. There's nice perspective to that. It's not a bad drawing. I'm going to come down here like that. And I'm not going to bother with the bottom half, like I said. And we're going to come up. It'll be like that. Then the hand comes together. The hand is just a triangle, right? And the fingers come to the point like that. I'm being super fast, but hopefully you like it like that, because it's focusing on the information as opposed to just watching me do good drawings, right? We're gonna have this here, this here, this here. There'll be one on the other side. So I'm playing with the angle of the character. The head is like this. Looks like a sort of Japanese inspired. Well, I did say it looks like Sega Nights. So I haven't read any of the comments. It'll be interesting to see what if Kira has indeed come back into the chat. Right, so then this then comes down here. Again, I'm very loosely looking at the drawing. I'm not really doing a beast style accuracy what I did in the other thing. Right, yeah, so that's like that. Actually, that would have been good if we throw those on there, right? Yeah, like that. That makes it more interesting. There we go. Right. That's about it. I'm not going to draw it in any more than that. So there we've got a piece of animation of that character. So it's just shapes, simple shapes. These arms are just like this, right? The body is just this, right? So whether you like have it like this, and what they might do is treat the body like that and have the arms constructed on the side like that, right? And then they'll put things like this, right? So there is construction to it, but when you're animate loose, play with the shapes, and learn drawing at a different stage so that you can combine the two, right? And they'll both start to help each other. Your animation will help your drawing, and your drawing will help your animation. But if you just try to draw well from the start, then you're going to have problems. I'm learning, sir. I had a problem with drawing poses of the human body to animate, so I wanted to ask what is the best form of shorthand drawing the body poses? Okay, well, there you go. I kind of answered the question. So Kira didn't come back, and I think that's sad if Kira got upset about all this, because I really did want to help, but I have to be clear. Real animator training focuses on real hardcore animation techniques, and a lot of the stuff by Cartoon Network and Has Been Hotel and these kind of things, they're not the highest level of hand-drawn animation. I'm talking about old school Disney animation, complex shapes, complex characters. These type of characters require a lot of skill, art, fundamentals in strong artwork, design, drawing, anatomy, shapes, full, complete understanding of the 12 laws of animation to be able to animate to this level. So if you're still listening, Kira, if I, by my highlighting that, and saying that I don't really rate Cartoon Network animators, and I could probably train a 7-year-old to animate to the level of Steven Universe in 2 weeks, if you gave them the Steven Universe puppets, which a lot of those, or if it's hand drawn, maybe not, but because the 7-year-old would have to have some, even though Steven Universe is very poorly drawn, they would have to have some kind of level of consistency. But as far as the puppet rigging going animation goes, yes, a 7-year-old could animate some of the stuff on those shows like Adventure Time or whatever you call it. Those, but I still showed you how to apply what we did with this walk cycle with the character that you requested. So it's my pleasure to help you, but I'm also have to maintain the real animator protocol, which is very important in this time where people are afraid of AI. And and the only way that artists are going to be significant in this era, which I think is a very exciting era for real artists, is by being real artists, is by not trying to do things in a shortcut. Thank you so much to my friend for the donation. I've just received a donation. Thank you kindly for that. It certainly does help me continue what I'm doing. So the only way that, what do I think of Guilty Gear? Amazing. I used to work out to the soundtrack. I had it on the Sega Saturn. It's very important for artists to go back to being artists, to go back to fundamentals and to not try to get by using the shortcuts of software, which I've been talking about for a long time. And that means that we have to move away from simplistic, basic animation done on software, which bypasses fundamental drawing skills, the 12 laws of animation. So that's what my channel is all about. So I don't want to upset or offend anybody. These are times where people are triggered a lot easier, but I have to stay true to the principles that I set out, and focus on high quality, high-end animation, because I believe that I'm helping the hand-drawn animators of the future take the torch, become the torch bearers, and to shine a light on this great craft and keep it to a high standard. It's having it alive is not good enough. You can be alive and be tortured at the same time and pray for an early death. And that's what hand-drawn animation has been, in my opinion, for a long time. And I'm here to enlighten people so that they can restore it to its glory days of being executed at a very high standard, the highest possible standard. So that's what real animator training is all about. Thank you, Real Anima. Good to see you again, Mark Chamser. The Odiums. I have a problem with drawing the human body to animate, so I wanted to ask the best form. You have to learn. You have to learn anatomy. That's the best form, and then you can move with a simple stick shape like this. So I always use this example. I can do something like this, like a coat hanger, right? But then again, it's what we make the coat hanger. It's what goes inside, right? So you can animate this, right? But then the understanding of what you're doing is what makes it, right? So you don't want to just be doing like what they teach on the internet, right? Which is this bullshit, right? Some people think this is good, right? It's good if you don't want to move any further and you want your work to look like everybody else's, right? It's all right, right? But what you really want to do is you want to get to a fine art level of anatomy. You really do. Because then if you're a fine art level of anatomy, when I mean fine art, I mean the real kind of, you want to understand the rib cage, you want to understand the pelvis, right? You want to understand the chest, you want to understand the deltoids, you want to understand the tricep tendon, right? You want to understand the latissimus dorsi, the serratus anterior, rectus abdominis, right? You want to really get to this fine artsy level of understanding the human figure, because you're going to have to be drawing it in interesting ways from interesting angles, and what'll separate you from every other person using that pathetic formula which every other person uses and thinks it's special. It may as well be just using a software shortcut, right? You want to develop your own mastery of these shapes. It's important to learn the shortcut, right? And to grow from it, but not to stop there, right? Not to stop there. You see how I'm not taking my pen from the screen, right? I'm even going to throw in a skull to ensure that my facial anatomy is on point, right? So you want to be able to do stuff like that, right? At will, with any pose, right? With any pose. And then you have to understand the lighting of it all as well. It's not it's up to you. It's up to you how far you want to take this stuff. You can take it as far as you want, right? You can be just doing the usual. That's why I don't really rate this stuff. It's the old Don Bluth is great and I love it. But when he designed Dragon's Lair, he designed this very formulaic style which he gave to beginners in the Ireland studio, which is, you know, I'm going to put this here, and then this is where the So I love Dirk de Lering, don't get me wrong, in a right hands, John Pomeroy, it's amazing animation, right? But it's a formulaic design that people can have fun with, right? But if all you ever do is draw curves and straights like this, right, and you don't learn real anatomy, like Mr. Bluth knows real anatomy, and he simplified real anatomy to create this style, to do these curves and straights, right? So if the sword's here like that, then he would more be holding it like this. Be more this way. So even here, you use real anatomy to get the curve and the straight of the pose right. But if you take, and this was me in my 20s, I learned this and I threw anatomy out the window, right? I said, well, all I ever want to do is draw like Don Bluth and Dragon's Lair. But then every drawing I did was just things like this, right? And everything became samey, right? Curve and straight. Now, as a young guy or girl looking at this, you might say, yeah, but I like that. I want to do that. Yeah, well, then take it that far, but you're denying yourself the opportunity to come up with your own interesting shapes, just like Mr. Bluth did. So I'm finally starting to develop my own shapes. So I'm developing, it's taken me years to design this character. Some of you know it. And like, some of you might look at this drawing and go, big deal, why did that take you years? But the reason it took me years is because I wanted to find my own shapes and stop trying to have Disney shapes. Yes, there'll be some of those in there, but I want it to live outside of that. So on where the nose is, we're gonna have something here where the lips are like this, and in line with the bottom chin, we're gonna have something like this. So this is the reason I keep not wanting to work on this project, is because I'm trying to find my own shapes, ones that really, or like sit outside, sit within the framework of the styles that I've learned, but aren't just carbon copies, right? I really don't want this character to be a carbon copy of a Bluth or a Disney. I want it to be like my own thing, which is why I've always kind of started this project and stopped this project and started it because I'm just searching for something that has appeal but is, and it's got its flavor in the kind of Disney and a little bit of anime in there, but it's got its uniqueness. Whether I've hit on that, I don't know, but I feel I'm getting close, right? I feel I'm moving away from just being a carbon copy of those guys. It's super, super important to me to be able to do that. So, which is why what I want for myself, I want for all of you as well, which is why I always encourage you to not hero worship anybody. And even if you're starting out on your journey and there's things that you like that are primitive in their execution, to own that understanding and to be okay with that. You can still like it. I always talk about a show called The Legend of Prince Valiant that made me, basically. That show was responsible for making me, was as much of a parent as my parents in some regard. That some would consider that quite insulting, but pretty much I thought I was Prince Valiant for many years. Not even from the Hal Foster comics, the well-drawn comics, a really poorly, grossly drawn cartoon. So I mean, but I'm aware of that. I can own it and still like the show, right? So it's important that you like things, but you also, if you want to grow, you grow, right? So there we are. That's something which I've been trying to hit upon, which is mine, purely mine, more than any other design or character that I've ever designed or done. So I really want this guy to work. I would like, if it's animation team of, yes, you asked me this question. Could it be done in 6 months? How long? Just to point out, easily, depending on how you want it done, how finished you want it. Because in my Real Animator Training edutainment archives, I just mentioned, you might want to look at this video. It's nothing to buy, by the way. This seminar that I've got here, one, we've got animating a scene from start to finish, which is kind of like you see me do this super high level piece of animation right here, right? Full color, all that, right? But that's just one scene, and that's about almost a minute long, right? Just done by me, right? But then you got 2 minutes of animation. 2 minutes of animation, and I say it here, so listen how long it takes. Just to recap, let's have another look at what we did over 142 hours, 56 live streams, 6 days worth of animation work. Let's watch. Okay. So 6 days. It took me 6 days. If you're talking 24-hour days. So if you half those 24-hour days to 12-hour days, that's 12 days. Okay. If you then do it to 6-hour days, is that 18 days? I don't know. My maths gets bad from then on. So I create this 2-minute film all on my own, right? Right. So just to be clear, right, there's a couple of important things to point out. By the way, if you want that, you can go to Real Animator Training, ambanimation.com, and buy that archive. But it's important for you to understand factors to take in. Disney stylish animation done in 6 months. Disney style, I mean, Disney's become kind of shit now. But if you're talking high quality Disney style, even 90s, like to me 90s is just okay. I like the super old stuff like the Golden Age and the 60s and 70s, Robin Hood, Sword in the Stone. But 90s is not bad, it's good. Even that stuff is of a very high standard, so that's extremely ambitious. So yes, I say that took me 6 days to make 2 minutes. Some of it was very rough, some of it was very clean. There were only 2 characters. I've also had 20 years experience in the animation industry as a head of story, an animation director, an animator, a character designer, a production designer, all kinds of things. So I've leaned on those skills to knock out something completely using all that experience off the bat to just do on a live stream. So yes, I can say it took me 6 days to do all that. But somebody with even half of my experience, I doubt it. Right? So got to be very clear about that. But if you've got a team of 25 people and some of you are experienced, then I would say that it's very doable. I would have your most experienced people to be the supervisors, to oversee the scenes, to be keying out, doing the key and breakdown animation. And I would have the majority of people cleaning up their work, of the strong people. So no egos, none of this indie project where everybody has their own little scene. And some of those indie animators are good, some of them are not good, and the result is a hodgepodge and it's no good, right? We reanimated Sonic or something. Good luck to them, well done, but very, if the only reason they wanted to be involved was so they could have their scene in there and they weren't good enough to animate, then you'll be your ambition to get a Disney style animation won't be fulfilled. You have to be honest about the quality if you want to maximize the results. You have to say, okay, these are the animators, these are the breakdown, these are the cleanup artists. You have to make sure that you also know how to storyboard. You have to make sure that you know how to storyboard. You have to make sure that you know how is your film going to be in color. If your film's going to be in color, you need somebody in charge of the color. You need somebody that understands color theory, somebody that understands mood, art direction, something like that. Ideally, you need your art director and your production designer should be 2 different people. But if you're running on a limited budget, you should have 1 person that focuses on that if you've got a team. Me, I do it all myself because, as I said, I've worked in all those roles throughout my 20-year industry career. But if you have a team and you've got varied experience, you need to talk about who the strength of your the team is. It's interesting you'd like to know my opinion on something. My opinion on it shouldn't matter, really. It shouldn't determine your opinion. Monkey wrench. I will have a quick look. Monkey wrench animation. Okay. What's your opinion on Monkey Wrench? I don't know. It's not coming up. I'm getting all kinds of things. Monkey robot, monkey. That's probably because of the typo. Monkey Wrench episode 1. Okay, the drawing style looks very like I'm gonna roll my eyes. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. All right, art direction wise, it's very poor. Okay, a guy runs into the camera in the first shot. I don't know what that is, right? Doesn't look like a run. It just looks like another one of the spaceships, right? I'm being brief and I'm being blunt, right? A guy comes in and he shoots a gun and falls down. Okay, very poor. Very like, no. Okay. My opinion of Monkey Wrench's animation is well done to whoever made it. I hope they're very successful and makes lots of money and they thrive. They're artists and they're living their dream and they're doing whatever they want to do. But as an animator, they know they just from the little bit I've seen is very little exhibits as they know nothing other than I'm going to snap in and out of things like that. They don't truly understand high grade 12 law animation. But best of luck to them. I'm sure that they're doing very well and they've got a following, and I wish them money, wealth, power, success, and influence so that they can succeed and thrive at what they do. So, but yeah, I'm not impressed. Right. I have a character who will start to walk forward, but chains are going to snap out of either to snag him and start to pull him back. Can you suggest any references to assist with this short? I'm sure there are plenty of restrained animals, restrained scenes in films where it's just literally like jolty kind of animation, really. You want to kind of have an arc, break the arc with a little loop-the-loop, right? So he's coming forward, he jolts. What is my head doing? It's doing a little loop-the-loop. It's moving in a circle, right? It's offset, right? So I'm going this way, I'm going this way. There's a little, but you don't just jerk back and forward, you jerk in an arc, in a circle, right? I really need more time to talk about that. Sorry, Lady Tigre. I'm kind of like running, like this stream's gone on for almost 4 hours, so I'm just burning through the comments at the moment. Yes, I understand. Looking at these. You like the Fleischer brothers. I like Fleischer animation from the 50s. Yes, Gulliver's Travels and all that stuff. They pushed Disney to go even further. Okay? Can a design look organic and run the risk of looking generic? If something looks generic, it doesn't make it bad. It works. Generic works. That's kind of like what my stuff was. My personal designs was like for the Groundhopper, which is why I kept trying to push for something different. Yes, Magpie Kina. I'm a wonderful person. I love Magpie Kina. I don't see her much on my streams anymore now. I think she did work on Has Been Hotel. Okay, we did the human body question. It wasn't Rattigan. Well, it was somebody else's Rattigan walk. I was helping them with it. I've seen people say 2D is alive with TV shows and anime. I get what they mean, but it isn't the same caliber as Disney's 2D films. Exactly. That's what we're here for, Patch Tunes. That's what real animator training is here for. 2D will always be alive, but being alive isn't good enough. Many people are alive, but they're barely living. We want our drawings to live. I've been trying to practice anatomy with good construction of the body. Thank you so much. Okay. I'd like to ask if an animation, okay, we've done that question. Understood, no problem. I get it. There we go. We are at the end of the stream. Thank you so much for joining me. It has been a pleasure to answer your questions and to help you out. Remember that paper is king. To those who are about to draw, I salute you. Do your work, and not just your work. Do that little bit more for the lavishing's sake. That little bit more that's worth all the rest. And if you doubt as you must, and if you suffer as you must, do your work, put your heart into it, and the skies shall clear. And then from your very doubt and suffering will be born the supreme joy of life. Thank you for joining me on this live stream. I will not be streaming for 2 weeks by the looks of things. So keep practicing in the meantime, and I'll see you when I see you next. Bye-bye. Oh, yeah. Keep it real. Bye-bye. Stop streaming.